Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. Today, we have a special panel. As you know, the professor is traveling, and both my friends CC Karaoke and Istophobos were gracious enough to join us today and to, you know, create this cool panel with me. And I always enjoy having these guys on here, so it's going to be something really interesting and special. And yeah, it's great to see everybody here.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, the professor's tough shoes to fill, so I'll do my best.
yeah, it's good to be here. However, I do need to warn you. I've been informed that the French government, as well as the French Foreign Legion, has taken out a contract on my life, and so I'm in hiding. So if all of a sudden I disappear, you know what happened.
Here at Price of Reason Studios, we don't know what this man is talking about and have nothing to do with it.
Oh, you didn't hear about the big Candace Owens drama?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh,
Do you really have no idea, or are you pretending to not have
yeah.
any idea?
Are you messing with us? Because this is big. This is huge, man.
What? I feel like I'm missing some context. Is this something that happened today?
Well, it was a couple of days ago, but all I've been seeing are fake tweets about U.S. government reaction. A couple of days ago, Candace Owens got on air and said that she had credible evidence that Macron and the French government have taken out a contract on her life in combination with both the French Foreign Legion and the Israeli Mossad. And she sent all the evidence to Washington, and she's not going to do her show because she's going into hiding. I'm not kidding.
Oh, I saw something that she said I'm not going to be doing shows, but I wasn't. You know what? I'll tell you what. At this point, I just kind of tune her out. She lost me with that whole Charlie Kirk thing.
Yeah.
She really lost me there because this is I usually don't dwell on that lady much because she seems like a crazy nut to me, just my personal opinion. But what I will say is this: forget about everything. Forget about that. Everything she says and all of her ideas are things that 90% of the time I think are awful things that she says. Forget about all of that. If you forget about politics, forget about ideologies. If you have a friend that you keep saying, "This is my friend that died," in a really bad way, and she keeps going around saying how they were best buddies, how this man was her best friend, and all this other crap. Meanwhile, she's every day trying to capitalize and generate clicks, teasing people. I'm going to share a secret email that he gave me. I'm going to show you a text message that he said once this and he once said that. It's like, if this man is your friend, forget about what's even being talked. I don't care if they're talking about about comic books, okay? No matter what it is, sitting around with a guy that was killed and sitting around with his DMs and each day trying to create a stream where you're teasing people to listen to it, it's in such bad taste. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Forget about the ideologies and all the stuff that she says that I don't agree with. It's just like her behavior for me is like, I can't take it seriously. Somebody that acts that way, I can't take it seriously. And each time, like she pivots from one thing to another. She comes up with some conspiracy theory. Then somebody says, "Hey, it can't be because this and this and this." Oh, so she pivots to something else. And then you tell her, "Well, it can't be because this happened." Oh, okay. So she pivots to some other thing. And each theory of hers is more wacky than the other one, in my humble opinion, of course.
Oh, I get it. I mean, she has been well known as a grifter since like before COVID, but the two problems are she's very well spoken, and half the time she's spot on dead right. The other problem is her audience. There are people that live and die on her words alone, and they take anything she says with deathly seriousness. And so Twitter for the last 2 days have been flooded with these fake tweets about how, the president has responded in Washington. And I do find what she's been saying, how she has been using the tragic death of Charlie Kirk, I find it in very poor taste. And also, it's kind of, have you, I find this mostly in women, although there are guys that do it. They're always talking about their friend but the way they talk about their friend, it's like it doesn't really sound like that's your friend. It doesn't
No,
really
I
sound
mean,
like you like
first
them
of
that
all,
much.
there's really not much to think about. A woman that keeps saying that this is her bestie, but she wants to share stuff and do streams where she's like, today I'm going to drop the biggest tweet that he gave me ever, the biggest DM, like you wouldn't believe it. It's like, lady, you're celebrating streams that are you're capitalizing on your friend's death that you keep saying is your friend, but you want people to listen to you as you try to capitalize on it. There's something about it that's just so ugly, in my opinion. And that's before I even got to the stuff like she says a lot of other bunker stuff that I obviously don't agree with, but it's not even a situation. There are people that I don't agree with that maybe still have like the minimum uh behavior of a person that you think, well, at least like, she really believes in it, but she's a good person. I really don't get that vibe from her. Whenever I see her, I always think of the scene from Wayne's World where his ex-girlfriend appears. That's what I think of her. She
Yeah.
reminds me of Wayne's ex-girlfriend in Wayne's World. I know that's a strange thing. I don't know why that's what I think of when I see
Oh,
her.
no, you're not wrong. She exhibits all of the classic qualities of a grifter, and I think she's really leaned into her audience because that's where her bread and butter is. And so if they need her to go a little bit crazy, she'll go crazy. Just look at the whole Macron thing to begin with. Um, it's one thing to say, "Hey, dude's wife looks like a man." It's another thing to sit there and bet your whole career and life and fortune on it, and then they took her up on it and filed a lawsuit. So I'm also a little bit, when drama continuously follows a person, I'm always a little bit dubious that they're somehow, courting that drama. Even the most controversial people aren't always 100% in the middle of some kind of drama.
I just
So,
to steer away because I don't want to focus on her too much. It's just not a good energy. But
yeah,
I
okay,
I
fair enough.
But the tweet in question from 16 hours ago, I'll bring this up for some context. She says our show will be off the air this week, right? So that's a factual statement. She's not going to do her show this week. Then
good
she
stuff.
immediately follows that with, as an update, both the White House and our counterterrorism agencies have confirmed receipt of what I've reported publicly. There's no relation between these two things necessarily. They're two completely separate statements, right? She's not doing her show this week, but as an update, she's been in contact with the White House and the counterterrorism agencies about this thing.
uh,
The what she's trying to do is to make the reader insinuate in their own mind that these two things are necessarily connected. That she's not doing the show this week because of threats against her.
Yeah, yeah, the whatever. None of that is like I said, I don't take anything she says seriously at this point. But what I'll tell you is kind of to zoom out that she is a symptom of a lot that's wrong today when it comes to online culture and things like that. We all know what it means that sometimes you want people to click on your stream or on your video, and maybe you'll create a little bit of drama with a thumbnail or with an idea or with something. But I think that people that are still at least honest and still like true to certain things they believe in can still find a way to have their YouTube or their online presence, but also have like some kind of integrity. I think that the problem with somebody like her and a lot of others like her is they want that rush of as many people as possible listening to them, in addition to the money that it generates. And they get so desperate at some point that even some people that may have started in a way that was more respectable, maybe people were trying to really report things or do things, they end up like just being, it's almost like a drug addict. Meaning, what do I have to do now to get that rush again? Oh, I have to take this entire group of people and throw them under the bus? Sure. I got to take these guys and say that they're this? Sure. I got to make a story about this person? Sure. Like, they just, as long as they can continue to get the clicks at this point, they're willing to just invent stuff. It's just click on their thing so they can feel that attention and that rush. And that's why I said that when I saw it, I just don't want to even dwell on her. But when I
yeah.
saw that stuff happen with that guy, I felt like she kept thinking, how do I capitalize? How do I get that rush? How do I get? And it's not even like this lady doesn't have money. She's married to a guy with money. She has money. It's absolutely like an addiction. That's what I
Yeah.
think it is. And it's not just her. There's a lot of other people in the space. Personally, we've been talking, and I've been saying this in a few groups that I'm in. I'm really kind of getting exhausted from X in general, between the chat
Yeah.
not working there, and every time I go there, seem to only get recommended tweets in my feed of like these kind of grifter types that are arguing with each other. And you know what? At some point, it's kind of exhausting. Like
Click farming across the board.
Yeah,
click
all I
farming
get
across the
is
board.
like, does this shirt make me look hot?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but they just added a feature where you can see the origination country of the tweet.
Yeah, and you know what? It'll do something, but it's not working fast and strong enough. It's
Oh,
nice to see some of these people at least
yeah, but
exposed.
if they gave us the ability to ban to block geographic regions, because one at a time isn't doing it, man. I just spent hours, blocking off accounts from like India and Indonesia, Nigeria, and stuff. But if you could
I feel
actually
like
go and whitelist geographic areas, that would be fantastic.
I feel like they'll just make Canada the new bot farm location.
I
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, to be fair, Caleb Levine, Mel Gibson is at minimum pretty eccentric guy. You know, that's if we're being kind here. And I like the Lethal Weapon movies and all that, but I can't lie about that. And the other thing is, like, you know, I could say the same thing about Alex Jones. Alex Jones is also, this is just my personal opinion. Beyond some of his theories, you know what? Sometimes his theories, once in a while, he has one of those kind of conspiracy theories, and it ends up having merit. But there have been times that he's gone completely off the rails, and it hasn't materialized. It hasn't happened the way he said, and even got in hot water over it. I mean, it's not. Sometimes in a way, he was an early version of this. Maybe some of the things that he said were true, but he also is the early version of this. Mel Gibson is not an early version of that. I think the thing with Mel Gibson, this is, I mean, I shouldn't say this. It's not my business, and I know people like him. I suspect maybe one day it could turn out. This is just my personal opinion here at Price of Reason Studios. We took no responsibility about anything that I just said. Maybe like a bipolar thing or something like that. Uh, it's not that I wanted to hear cassettes of his wife recording him, but they were released to the press years ago, and unfortunately, I didn't want to listen to it, but I couldn't, you know, steer away from it. Some of what I heard and how I heard him act gave me the feeling that this is a guy that can really, you can push his buttons, that he could really kind of go off the deep end. Maybe in kind of bipolar way or whatever it is. I think that over the years he's managed to really gain control of that. I don't know what happened like decades ago. I think that these days he seems more composed and more at peace with himself.
Well,
And
being sober certainly doesn't hurt.
that certainly hurts. That doesn't hurt as well. So being sober, being maybe other things, whatever it is now. Usually when I see him even in interviews and stuff like that, he seems a lot more kind of mellow and reasonable. And if that's a process that he went through, I'm happy for him.
I just want to say I didn't mean to derail the entire stream. I just thought we'd start out with a quick laugh and then move on to rush hour. So I'm sorry that we got
No, no, no.
dragged all into
Fine, it's fine.
Candace.
It it's not that. It's just like, you know, honestly, it's fine. We talked about it, and actually didn't know, but I do my best to ignore, you know, that. It's just there's a few people that whatever they do, I kind of try to ignore them because it's like it's almost like I don't want to give them the attention. You know what I mean? She's not the only
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
There's certain people I already know all their shtick, and I just don't feel like giving them any of my attention because it's exactly what they're looking for. Any
Yeah.
kind of thing like this that you described is just a woman trying to get her attention in any way possible, and I feel like the more attention that I give, I'm falling for it. I'm now falling for the stupid trap of me giving attention.
I really what surprised me were all of the tweets today, completely fictional about all of the action the US government has taken. And I'm like, if one of those actions doesn't include war with France, then it's not true, but it's kind of feels a lot like this UFO documentary I just watched, which was highly anticipated. Did you hear about that? The Age of Disclosure?
Didn't see it, no.
No, I mean the UFO community was very excited. This thing has been like 6 months in the coming. There was a huge press buildup. They have a lot of people from Washington, including Marco Rubio is on there, but it just ended up to be, all smoke and no fire. It was just complete fluff. and speculation, and they did exactly what CC said. They'll say one thing, but and they'll accompany it with misleading energy. But in the end, there wasn't a single solid declaratory statement or one iota of evidence, and I ended up having the worst case of UFO blue balls by the time that thing was over,
I see. Well, I didn't catch it, so
man.
unfortunately, don't really know what to say about it. But yeah, I gave my thoughts here about the things, and you know, I prefer. I've said my I think my piece about all the people that we mentioned. Out of all of them, I actually think that Mel Gibson, once he didn't drink anymore and he kind of mellowed out, I actually think that he's the one that seemed to be back on track. Alex Jones as a character, I suppose he's an acquired taste. I don't think he's for everybody. Uh, Sometimes, especially back in the day, once in a while, he'd have an interesting kind of conspiracy theory. And I don't think that everything that he said has been bad. But like I said, uh, when you're shooting maybe like 50% and some of the 50% is like bonkers insane, it kind of, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, the thing is,
Like,
I listen to Alex, and I can just tell by the voice, man. This guy, um, it's just a little bit scary about how well spoken Candace is. She's really good at public speaking, and she does talk in a way that sort of urges you to take her seriously.
she's a good speaker. That's how she
Yeah,
got the, whatever. I remember once, and again, I don't even agree with Dave Chappelle and everything that he says, but I remember in one of his stand-ups, he was talking about Candace Owens, and he said something like that. She in his mind is the dumbest person with the ability to articulate herself in the best possible way, or
yeah,
something like that. He said something about her, and I actually laughed because I thought he described it better than me. Like, I thought that the description was great. She's very articulate. She knows how to explain exactly what her position is. She does it very, very well. If you just stop for a second to think of what's being said to you, a lot of it is like bonkers and wacko. But again, I can't control wackos in this world, and it's not my position to even try. Uh, I guess you know
Oh, and then after he goes, he apologized. He said, "Candace, I'm sorry I called you articulate."
I remember something. I don't even know. I remember something like that. In any case, I think that we've covered that topic as well as we could, and now we can jump to Trump wills Rush Hour 4 into existence.
Are we
So
sure
I don't
this
know
is
if
real? This is real, right?
Yeah.
this is
Oh,
real.
yeah.
Yeah, no, this is like the funny thing is we live in a timeline that we can no longer know what's real and what isn't.
That's what
Yeah.
I mean. It's
This
all
is
over X.
this
Like,
is
where
such
did
a
it come from?
no. It's been announced by the studio. This is such a boss move, man. Like the fact that he can do that. Like, wow. Like next time you want to see a movie, just keep tweeting Trump until he goes to the studio and demands that they start making it.
Well, what happened is that let me see if I can find it.
I mean, yeah, points in my book to him for doing that. I'll take it.
So
Yeah.
the thing is that let me see if I can find it. Uh, Rush Hour revived. Ugh, the stupid commercial. Jim Cramer, $99 to pay for him.
That's I think
Oh,
you
my.
lose a lot more than $99.
Right, that's like the
It's not
Yeah.
worst deal
advice.
ever. That is the
Yeah.
worst deal ever, Jim.
Yeah, I'm
So in
surprised he can talk with Disney's what in his mouth all the time. Oh my god.
So basically, Rush Hour 4 is revived after Trump urged Paramount Skydance to resurrect franchise. In any case, I mean, let me see for a second. We saw this the other day, even before they announced that it's happening. You saw that like people were saying that he was pushing for a green light for this movie because he liked the movies and he wanted to see a sequel. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Do you hear the words coming out my mouth?
I actually liked. I'll tell you what. I liked Rush Hour 1. I liked Rush Hour 2. I like those two movies very much. The third one, unfortunately, felt half-hearted. I really hope that if they revive this one, it's going to be more like the earlier ones and not like the third one. I don't know if they can even deliver the same kind of laughs at this point. Comedy, sometimes you have that moment that you're riding a wave, and I feel like that those first two movies, that was their moment. They were like they were riding that wave in the best possible way. The chemistry was there. They were at the right age with the right energy. Bringing them back in an older type of setup, it doesn't always work. I will say that with Bad Boys, those later two movies weren't terrible. They somehow managed to do it, and maybe they could do something like this here. But Chris Tucker, with all due respect, is a guy that aside from these movies, he most of the time doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
doesn't. Maybe he does some stand up here and there, but for years he's been like sitting around. He doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to go to do movies. I don't know what his problem is all the time. It's nothing personal. I don't have anything personal against him, but I'm saying the guy is known for like taking long breaks and doing who knows what. So the question is, can he still be fresh doing this kind of thing? Because at the time when he was doing Rush Hour 1 and 2, he's the man of the moment.
I mean,
Once decades pass and you're in a different place in your life, you don't have that same energy. I mean, even
yeah,
I can tell.
they're
Sorry, go on, Cece. What were you going to
they're
say?
not exactly, they're not fresh anymore. They're old, like
No,
you say. Um, nah,
I
you can
mean,
lean into that. You can make a good comedy about two old guys. It's been
you
done.
could, if they're leaning into them being old, I guess there could be something funny about it. But Jackie Chan is 71 years old. Chris Tucker himself, he must be in his 50s. This is no longer a situation where these it's just it's a big time jump here.
Yeah, he's not just 70, he's a former Beijing acrobat martial arts star 70. He was already having trouble walking when he was in his 40s. He's had so many injuries. I just question his ability to kind of move around in the way that people are used to seeing him.
Well, you almost have to lean into the fact that he can't and make joke of
Yeah,
it.
if he shows
Uh,
up in a wheelchair, I don't know if that'll fly in the movie, but yeah, man, I love the guy. I've followed his career almost in its entirety, but I also know from my time living in Hong Kong and Taiwan, how these guys' career trajectories usually go. It's rough. They really do put the kind of strain on their bodies that us normal people can hardly imagine. I mean, you see what the guy does is all his own stunts. He usually breaks 3 or 4 bones per movie minimum. Like it's nuts.
Yeah, no, Jackie Chan's the real deal, but at age 71, he's not going to be able to bring that kind of vibe that he brought. The original two movies were they worked a lot because of the improv and sharpness of Chris Tucker, along with Jackie Chan's just natural likability and all of his like stunts and stuff. So you got a movie that had real kind of cool action. It had comedy. I think that somehow the chemistry between them was surprisingly good. I don't think anybody expected the chemistry between that was the most random two people you could throw together, and somehow it worked.
Yeah,
So
it really
lightning in
did,
a
man.
bottle.
Yeah, yeah, it really did. Listen, I need to ask. I keep hearing your mic crack up price, but I don't know if it's on my end or if anybody else is hearing that.
I haven't personally.
Okay,
Cece,
Sounded
have you
okay to
heard
me.
anything?
No.
okay, then it's definitely on my end here. I'll switch my audio and see if I have something I can do.
If people in the chat hear me weird, you could say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it must be this. I'm gonna switch headphones.
1 second. So how's it going, Cece?
It's going all right. Was actually kind of excited to be here this evening.
Yeah, we're excited too. It's cool. I
I mean,
feel like sorry, go on.
no, I was just saying about Rush Hour 4. I mean, you know what? I am for it. I just there's a fine line between like appreciating and being self-aware of the fact that they're old and that maybe it's like just can't do it anymore, and you can glean some comedy out of that. And if it's earnest and they maintain that chemistry they have, I think there's a lot of potential to actually just have something. If they're enjoying it on screen, if they're enjoying being there, like for a start, then the audience is gonna respond to that, right? They're gonna feel that with them. But there's a fine line between in kind of leaning into that parody a little bit of the fact that they're old, and also if it doesn't land, if it just is literally a flaccid noodle, you know,
Yeah,
then
no,
it's going to be very, very sad.
Rush Hour
Right.
3 had moments like that. I really, really was sad about Rush Hour 3. It felt like, the magic was gone, and I don't know if they can correct it. So, if they couldn't do it for Rush Hour 3, which they were at an age that they should have been able to, can they really do it now? The only thing that could help them now is if they have really good writers. If the situations that are being created for them are very funny and they're
Good
coming with like
writers.
a good attitude and it's funny and they're funny, maybe you can get away with it. The
Sure.
Bad Boys movies with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, I have to tell you that even though it was years later, they had enough funny, like tongue-in-cheek humor in them that even if they were silly and even somewhat forgettable, there was something to enjoy there. I think that the chemistry between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence was still there in both of those movies, and they still managed to somehow generate it.
Yeah.
I don't know if these guys can do it. Time will tell.
Well, you know what? I'll always give Chris Tucker a chance for the simple fact that he did The Fifth Element, and it's one of the most amazing characters in one of my favorite movies. Always give him a shot. And you know what? If I was one of those people pulling in that kind of Hollywood money, I would probably, work a little bit and take several years off and do fun shit too, and then come back when I needed a little bit more. Like, I gotta say, he probably has my work ethic. I feel like I could easily be satisfied with a small portion of Hollywood cash, and I wouldn't feel compelled to just grind away year after year so I can get another mansion with another 20 rooms and another city that I'm never gonna be in. So
I actually like that
I'm a
point
fan.
because on the one hand, I don't believe that there's good writers out there in Hollywood, and maybe on the indie films. But like, I mean, if you're talking about Rush Hour 4 is like good writers, I'm not betting any money
Yeah.
on good writers.
Oh,
But
I'm with
I
you.
would bet on Chris Tucker.
I'm
I
with you
do
about the
like him.
writing. Well, here's the thing: there are good writers. These are all the ones that have been chased out of Hollywood, for
Yeah,
the sin
but
of
I
Right.
being
mean,
male and
I
white.
I
I
want to
wouldn't bet
quickly.
on Rush Hour 4 landing that talent, but I do think Chris Tucker has talent, right?
No, he does have talent. Professor Ardu says, well, 3 was directed by Brett Ratner. That won't be a problem this time. Don't be so sure. It seems like Brett Ratner is making a comeback, and I don't know.
Uh,
Ideally, if you want to know, forget about his past or all this stuff or what people said about him. Ideally, just because he's not 20 and you need a fresh guy doing this, I think the best thing to do is to, not let him direct the movie. Bring, some young, young but funny. I don't know. It's hard to find. It's hard to find it. I don't know. There's such a shitty pool, sorry, Sean, of people to choose from these days that I don't exactly know what they're gonna do. There was something else somebody says here. I'm having trouble highlighting comments, but I'll think of that and I'll think what to do in a second.
yeah,
There's no Hollywood stars under 50 or 60. I mean, what?
yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
Phantom Monk says that it's
Is Jason Statham the youngest Hollywood star left?
probably.
Well, Timothy
Phan-
Chalamet.
Phantom Monk is saying the
Eh,
funny bit is Trump's down with some Rush Hour. Yeah, I mean the thing is that those were like funny movies because they're inappropriate. There's people laughing at each other. Even today, when I saw some of the articles, they're like, of course, Trump's likes comedy where people offend each other on a racial level. It's like, dudes, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
This was a funny comedy. I don't care what you say to me.
yeah, get over yourself. It does. They are saying in the trades that Brett Ratner is expected to return to direct. It will be his comeback since the 2017 scandals. Oh, looks like
really?
we lost our commander in chief there. Speaking of
I think I'm back.
oh, you're back. Yep. But now you're tiny. Okay.
Let me see if now I can highlight. Yeah, okay, now I can highlight. There was a technical issue that I had to overcome, and now I've done it. What were you guys saying?
It looks like Ratner is expected to return to direct. It will mark his debut since the
Don't count that guy out. That guy, like,
yeah,
popped
yeah.
back up.
Yep.
Listen, I know people said something about him. One of the problems I'm gonna say I can't believe I'm getting into this, and I feel like since the beginning of this stream, I keep getting into places that I don't wanna get into, but I will do this anyways because what can I do? I think that in 2017, that movement, there were some people that were probably bad people, and maybe some people that exposed them, maybe those people needed to be exposed. But for every big Harveys or whatever it was, you had probably like 30 people that did something that maybe at the time that they did it was probably considered like common as to what was going on, and somebody was trying to take like 2017 and the kind of sentiments that people had there and paste it historically on people for no apparent reason. I probably brought this up like 70 times on this show alone, that Dustin Hoffman no longer appears in movies pretty much until this very day, because if I remember correctly, there were two quote unquote incidents. One, a woman said that in 1974 she was in a trailer with him. He put his hand on her behind. She said she wasn't interested and he removed it. That was one of the incidents, which, like, to me,
Yeah, that sounds like what you're supposed to do.
I mean, listen, I wasn't there and I don't understand the context of what happened there. But at the end of the day, if she said she wasn't interested and that was it, I don't really understand how. Not only that, I don't even know if they had any evidence for it. That was such a bizarre thing. Like 50 years earlier, they're talking about some lady in his trailer and then some story that goes absolutely nowhere. So that was one. And the other one was. And I've said it before also on this show, is that if I remember correctly, there was a lady that had a meeting with him and his business partner, and she wanted them to invest millions in her movie. Now, I don't know what happened in this meeting. She said that Dustin Hoffman, at the end of it, they were sitting in a coffee shop. He said he was going to go to a store and do some shopping, and if she would join him. And she came to the conclusion that her joining him at the store to do shopping, it meant that he wanted her to go back to his hotel, but he didn't say it. He just meant it, but he
Huh.
didn't say it. And then she said she didn't want to go to the hotel with him. So later, it turned out that he wasn't investing millions in her movie. So she said, this is just, I'm paraphrasing here, but she said that because he didn't invest in the movies, the reason why he didn't invest millions in the movie was because she didn't go to the store to do shopping with him, when he really meant that as a euphemism, that he wanted her to go to his hotel. Man, so many mental gymnastics in one place. Like, this is what you're going to ruin this guy's life for? Because in 1974, that the trailer quote unquote incident, and the 1993 invest millions in my thing coffee shop incident, these are very, very weird things to pin on somebody. Do you
Oh
get
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. That sounds so thin. Like it's ephemeral. There's no, like, if it wasn't for that particular movement, this would have been completely ignored.
Nobody would have even paid attention to it. Now,
Yeah,
I'm not saying that that movement didn't expose some people that needed to, but I would say that probably, I know this is a terrible thing to say, probably like 10% of the people were probably rightfully exposed. And if it
yeah,
turned out at the end that like 90%, it was all like completely taken out of proportion and like exaggerated and completely, overdone, it wouldn't surprise me.
yeah. It
Now
was
that
a 90% power grab, is what it was.
right.
I
Go
got
ahead,
to go with
Susan.
Elizabeth in the chat here because I mean it works for Trump, and you know what? Heck yeah, she was hot.
No, the thing with Trump is, I would have never done that. She wasn't even a 10.
But I think a big part of the story is sort of the power of Trump to move mountains with his words. Like, I just can't get over that. Like, as you said, and Trump literally willed Rush Hour 4 into existence. That's just incredible to me. I know he's friends with Larry Ellison, and they're still trying to get some. They're going to need some Washington cooperation with this. So he's like, "Hey, I know you want to buy Warner Brothers, but you know what I want? I want to see Rush Hour 4, man." Like,
Yeah, totally.
Can he speak out against Kathleen Kennedy now too?
yeah. Well, it looked like the trades declared open season on her a couple of times, but then it kind of got brushed under the rug, and then it came back up, and now I've noticed this artificial push for Star Wars all across social media. It feels very forced and contrived. And also, a lot of those accounts now look like they're from India. So,
Yeah, I mean, I always knew that a lot of these accounts were from India, and yeah, again, without getting into certain names, there's certain people that I've seen, like, that supposedly have large followings, and then they tweet something out, and you have, like, immediately 5 seconds later, there's like 10,000 people liking their tweet. I sometimes think that some of that is very suspicious. I'm not saying that you can't have a following and it can't be that somebody's really enthusiastic about what you wrote, but I've seen a lot of cases where you have these kind of public figures where things just happen at a rapid speed that seems unreasonable at some point. Uh,
yeah, and I don't think anybody believes like the like nobody believes that somebody likes this stuff that much. like
yeah, yeah. There's things that there's a lot of shenanigans. There's a reason why Elon Musk did that thing where he's showing the location, and it's certainly interesting to see what that uncovered. In a way, he brought the whole freedom of speech thing, but he also, created a monster in a sense because there's so many people doing so many shenanigans with that. And unless he can find a way to really crack down on it, I think he's ruining his own platform, really.
I think you mentioned it earlier. You kind of touched on it earlier in the stream. If you're a small time creator and you're trying to build and you get that dopamine hit, you take a position on a topic, and suddenly you get 1,000 replies saying how awesome your position is. Right? They're all bots, but you might not realize that. If
yeah.
you take the opposite position, those same bots all come after you and tell you that you're a horrible person, and you don't get that same, positive hit of dopamine. You don't make the money. Then you're going to keep chasing that opinion that's giving you the replies, even if it's bots, right? So you can bot farm to push real creators to take positions and further spread that commentary, right?
Yeah, yeah, easily enough, and that's what brought Master of the TDS to my attention. How fastidious he was at exposing these bot networks. The guy was just amazing, and he ended up shutting down a couple nasty campaigns that could have spelled trouble for some of the people that I watch and we watch. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, Master of TDS has actually been on this stream before. He hasn't been here in a while. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I like Master of TDS. I think that
Oh yeah.
he's really thorough when it comes to his work, and anytime I've interacted with him and when he's been a guest here, very pleasant. I haven't talked to him in a minute. I feel like he deals more with all that kind of gaming stuff, which I take interest in, but to the level of how much he's like exposing every single company, I appreciate it, but it's not always like I focus more on the movie side and things like that. But certainly when I do have a question or anything like that, he's a really knowledgeable guy. And when he was here on this stream, he brought a lot of that knowledge with him, and he's also a very nice guy. So
Yeah,
just
I love his stream that he does with his wife on Sunday nights. But it's very
a good
entertaining and
stream, yeah.
informative. Yeah, yeah. So, um, I I sent you a picture to your DMs. You won't know what it's about. It's just for a quick human interest story. If we decide to talk about it later, I wanted you to have the picture
Oh,
handy.
okay, let me
So
look at it. Is that the world champion in weightlifts or something?
that is the world's strongest woman contest winner. It's not Jamie. It's actually Jamie. Yes,
Uh, is it what I think it might end up
it's
being?
yeah, Jamie Booker. Um, yeah, if you want, I mean, we can talk about it. There's not a whole lot, but it was
No,
just
but
sort of.
let's please dance around certain
Oh,
terms and stuff if you don't.
absolutely. So,
You're trying to
um,
set it on fire, man.
in Arlington, Texas, which is outside of Dallas, they had the world's strongest woman contest, and she initially was the winner, Jamie Booker. It's not just one thing. There's a bunch of different, challenges they go through. As it turned out, um, she was. They found out afterwards that she was competing in the wrong category, and they stripped her of the title. And the runner-up, who by the way wasn't even close, ended up being crowned the world's strongest woman.
I'm
So
sorry I have to ask this, but is this a woman?
no,
You
it
know,
is
it
not.
depends.
Yeah.
If you ever saw Transformers the movie, I think that she made an appearance there.
Actually, the bylaws, particularly, this is in Texas. You must compete in the category you would have competed in when you were born.
Yes, that's the rule. So you have to be
Yeah.
whatever it is that you were. And then initially there was like a video of how this other lady, it was basically, how do I explain this? Let me share this. So basically there was the world's strongest woman. Wait, could you see that?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So the woman on the left was the actual winner, but she wasn't given the award because the person on the right seemingly was the winner.
Yeah, looks about 3 times as strong. Like she could yeah, that one could
And
lift
you could tell
3
that
of the other one.
you could tell that the lady on the left uh is
A
Yeah.
lady?
I'm gonna I'm
the lady on
I'm gonna say a little something controversial. If you go back to the still image, I think she passes better than a lot of those people that I've seen. Because when you're dealing at this level of athletics, it's kind of hard to tell the difference anyway.
I guess so. But at the end of the day, the lady on the right is a lady, and the lady on the lady on the left is a lady, and the lady on the right is a.
Yeah, definitely one of them can't pee standing up. So that's really where the distinction is.
Remember, the one on the right is Galvatron, and the one on the left is a woman. Remember Galvatron?
No, actually, I don't. But it sounds funny anyway. 'Cause it's clearly a Transformer name. So
Right. I want to see. Wasn't Galvatron a big one though? I want to see for a second. Galvatron. Let's see.
Bring up a picture.
Galvatron, and let me see 1986 movie.
Caleb, I would hate to have to strip her of anything.
Let's see for a second. But which one was the one that was a planet? Don't you remember there was somebody that was like a planet?
Isn't Cybertron the planet, or are you talking
No,
about a
there was
different
like a
one?
planet that turned into a Transformer in the 1984 one. Didn't Orson Welles like? I could be wrong. I'm so confused now. I haven't watched that movie in a really long time.
Yeah, I'm not a there was one called Maximals and one called Char, but I'm not Unicron maybe.
Unicron.
Okay, yeah, Unicron could turn into a planet.
Okay, hold on one second. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Now I think
as it turns out, she does have a Unicron. Right.
let me see for a second. So Unicron, I think it's this
I
one.
probably shouldn't even take this to the next level that my mind is going to here. Can it still do the Unicron after you've taken all those drugs?
I'm pretty I wouldn't have just regular weightlifting dudes have trouble with that. So I'm going to say no. Like, that's actually a big problem in all of that area of pharmacology.
I'm trying to
Damn.
find Unicron. Hold on. I think that this is Unicron, right?
Price is looking for the Unicron.
Can you see it?
Kind of looks like Cowboy Bebop, but yeah. Okay, now it's clear. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So I guess that was that person. Unicron.
Yeah, pretty cool animation actually. It reminds me
It was a good
of what we
movie.
lost,
Listen,
yeah.
it was a good movie. The only problem is that they killed all of the best characters 30 minutes into the movie, and I think kids weren't ready for that. Even as a kid, and I was open-minded, getting rid of all your favorite, characters in 2 seconds that way, it was really, really, uh, it was frustrating. I think a lot of kids were very disturbed by it and sad, and they didn't like it, and I can understand why.
Yeah, it was an interesting tact for them to go down. I do have to
Unicron was
say.
a planet-sized transformer voiced by Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think that was like Orson Welles' last thing that he did, or one of the last things that he did, is that he voiced that planet. And you know what? He did a good job voicing that planet. I thought that he did great as Unicron.
Yeah, I think he's he's got the voice. We've seen some of his advertising work over on B-sides, always pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, he
Apparently,
he he drank a lot of alcohol and he had a lot of issues, but he certainly was good when it came to that kind of stuff.
yeah, he was a man of large appetites. Galvatron apparently is the reincarnation of Megatron. So,
Yeah, okay, I remember now. It was all very annoying. I mean, the movie has merit. It's just kind of a bummer movie. I haven't watched it in a while. I don't know what I would think about it now. But as for the story with this lady man person, it's good that they made it right. I don't think that they should have given her the award. So I mean, I have no problem with the fact that they took it away.
yeah, the thing is, I don't think they were competing as anything in particular. They were just sneaking in there to try to win a trophy. Like they weren't claiming to be any sort of transformer. So
I see.
it was more like I'm going in for a medal, not like I'm going in with an ideology here. Um, just I don't know. I thought it was kind of just interesting, and I saw the picture. I'm like, yeah, I can see. Hard to tell. I saw the pictures of all the contestants, and I'm like, I can see that. Maybe not being crystal clear.
Yeah, more than meets the eye.
You, I have a great segue if you're ready to move on.
Yes. What's the
Oh,
segue?
you know what? Also, I'm finding annoying all of the people in Twitter trying to claim how great and what a success Predator Badlands was.
A lot of those have quieted down. Because now it's pretty obvious that that thing is a failure. So we hear a little less of it.
I don't know.
Bot campaign quieted. They've
I, I
stopped being paid.
I saw a lot of it today, man. I must have replied about 30 times. What was it successful at? Losing $150 million? Like that
You
sort
know
of
what's
thing.
funny is that I think that I did a video about how the movie flopped, and I did it really quickly. After the opening weekend, I explained in a video why, according to my estimates and to the models I was doing, couldn't see a situation where this thing even breaks even. And then somebody came to my video maybe the other day and wrote, "Well, this aged like milk." And I'm thinking to
Oh,
myself, like, no. The thing on YouTube is I prefer not to argue with people. It feels like not the right place for it. So
yeah.
usually when there's weird comments, I just kind of leave them alone. But really, I wanted to answer, like, what is wrong with you? It's the opposite. It aged like wine. Like, I am 100%. Everything I said became true. Like, it didn't age like milk. It aged like the finest wine ever.
I think there's a lot of people on Twitter now that are just maybe they're young, maybe they're shill. I don't know, but clearly they're confusing gross box office receipts
Of
with
course,
studio
it's the
profit.
same. It's the same stupid thing, and that's why I don't even pay attention to the ones on YouTube. There always will be a few that are like, "We don't get it. It costs like 100 and this amount to make, and it made this amount in the box office. It's a huge hit." It's like, no, if it cost 110 million to make, you needed to make like 262 or whatever it was, or 105. I think, you needed to make like 262 for this thing to break even theoretically, and it's only now sitting at like 149, 150 worldwide. Even if at the end it gets like 170, 200, whatever it is, it's not going to get, it doesn't seem likely that it's going to get to the break even point. And when they make a movie like this, they're looking for a real profit. They're not looking to make a movie like this so that they can, hope that later, maybe with streaming, maybe with a
Yeah.
few other things, like over time they'll break even. That's not why they do movies like this.
Oh
This is a
no.
huge
I
failure.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I haven't seen the movie. After you invited me on tonight throughout the day today, I thought, maybe I should watch this movie so that I can prepare myself and be, informed for this show tonight. And I thought that would be the professional thing to do. But I couldn't bring myself to be bothered to watch it.
No, good for
Every
you.
piece
Good
of
for you.
advertising for this movie, everything I've seen and heard about this movie, I just don't want to subject myself to it. It might be a fantastic movie. I haven't
No,
seen it,
no, it's not.
but I don't want to, right? That's the thing. It's like it doesn't matter. Like, even if it was great, everything
Yeah.
I understand about it makes me not want to see it.
Yeah, it's like Starfighter. Whether it's good or not, it's going to be very difficult for me to watch it because I so don't care anymore. But I think I figured out why these people think the way they do. It's not just that they're bad at math; it's they've never had a job in their life. They've never had to look at a paycheck and see the FICA and the state tax and the federal tax withholdings. Like they've never had to file an income return, so they don't understand even the concept of sort of expenses and withholdings and budgets and marketing or anything. They because they've led such a sheltered life. I need $50. Their parents give them $50. So the only thing they're capable of really understanding is the movie made 100 million this weekend. Oh, Disney made 100 million this weekend. That's my theory on that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's always going to be a few weirdos that maybe genuinely like it. But however many weirdos there are, we've learned with Star Wars and a lot of those other things, those people aren't enough. Why there's weirdos that like seeing, like, some predator and having weird fantasies of him with some robot lady. I can't tell you why there's weirdos like that out there. They do exist. But at the end of the day, there is not enough of those weirdos to make this movie profitable.
Yeah,
Uh,
and speaking of that, speaking of not enough audience for what you're selling, the super chat.
oh, the super chat. Yeah, the
Yeah,
dead
yeah.
man. Thank you for the 4.99 price. I hear your girlfriend is blaming fans for her failure for the acolyte. I think it's very unfortunate. I mean, first of all, it's unfortunate that people always say she's my girlfriend because I once in the middle of the night said that I met her at a bar years ago, which was true, but I never thought that anybody was even listening to me. But that's a lesson that I learned. Anything you say
Yeah.
can and will be used against you when it comes to YouTube. But what I'll say is that you know, judging by that time that I talked to her for a few hours, she didn't seem like the worst person at that time. I think that this is a very bitter and unprofessional way to handle your own failure. There's nothing I can say. I mean, you, you know, I've said before that i- take this with a grain of salt. But when I sat there and talked to her, she was barely at that time. She was being given the opportunity to read screenplays and then tell like her bosses what those screenplays are about, so the bosses can decide if they even want to, consider even reading it. And that was one of her jobs as like an assistant. And yeah, that's cool. But you know what? Reading some screenplays and telling your boss what it's about, what the story is about, so he can say if he thinks it's like worth anything. I still don't think that makes you, the
That doesn't
best.
make you a writer.
Right, it doesn't make
Yeah.
you anything. It doesn't make you anything. And I didn't get the feeling from her that she was this big creative force. Again, you could say, "What do you know? You talked to her for a few hours. Maybe she's like the biggest creative force and you're just an idiot." Maybe, but I just didn't get that vibe. You know what I mean? Out of the two of us, if I had to think, I know how bad this is going to sound. I'm not saying that I would have done something good, but if I out of the two of us, like if I had like a camera and I could see the conversation of like how interesting I am versus how she's less interesting than me, and one of us can only get Star Wars and hundreds of millions of dollars, your best bet would have been me out of the two of us. Okay, that was not who I would have given the $100 million. Now, if like you had somebody that's really like a top-notch creator, like really a guy with credentials sitting there, and that it's that person and me, I would give it to the guy with credentials. Okay, if I don't know, if you need a creative project, sitting at the bar at that time with like 40-year-old Spielberg and me, I would say give it to Spielberg. But sitting with Leslie Headland, I think that like there was nothing that happened there that I felt extremely impressed with. And I didn't think to myself, wow, she's really going places. You know, I didn't think anything. I thought, okay, well, she works for the Weinstein people,
This was nothing but her taking $300 million of studio money and working out her daddy issues with a
flushing
TV
them down the
series.
toilet,
It
flushing them down the toilet.
remember the strike a couple years ago? I saw one image from the picket line that basically explained everything that was wrong with Hollywood. It was this little brunette. She was cute, but she had all the, she was wearing the uniform. She's holding up a sign and she looked so proud and smug. And it said, AI doesn't have trauma. And I realized that's that's the only thing that modern Hollywood writers think is interesting, and that's the only thing
Yeah,
they're bringing to the table, man.
I
It's
am
their whole
so
identity.
tired. I'm so tired of all these people with weird issues that they're trying to resolve and like, trying to put themselves at the center of thing. And because they went through this, then the characters have to go through that. It's like it reminds me also that there was that episode of Loki where Loki suddenly he suggested that he was fond of women and of dudes. If you remember that episode
Yeah, yep.
in that show, and then the lady that wrote it, she's like, finally, because I'm like that in real life, I was able to like get the character to say like to represent me. And I'm like, you dumb fucking bitch. Sorry, Sean. Like, somebody has already built that character in movies that were 5 million times better than the piece of shit that you just put on screen. Who are you to say that now you're inserting your own life into the thing? That's not how characters work. You don't get the character to just mold it into some weird shit that you have going on. And really, I blame a lot of it. I blame Kurtzman. I blame Kathleen Kennedy. They're the ones that came with all this like, let's just hijack things and push like everything, or basically, I don't know if this is a good way to put it, our own insecurities.
Yeah, do you remember the story Leslie Headland loved saying, and I have no idea if this is true or not, but she's like, so I brought Kathleen Kennedy the story, and she's like, this is a great Star Wars story. Now go back and make it a great Leslie Headland story. And she's so proud of that little anecdote there. And I'm thinking, that sounds like 800 for shit that never happened, Alex. That's just my take on it. But
I,
she
I,
was
I don't believe
always
anything. No, there's also this other thing of like, the same type of talk I heard from Kennedy and from Hedlund. It's like Kennedy, for many years prior to her getting like the position with the Lucasfilm, she anytime she would be interviewed, she'd be like talking about like women's rights and things like that. The thing is, during all those times, she didn't have the creative power to like take over anything. She did blab about all that shit anytime you gave her a microphone, but it was harmless because whatever, say whatever you want. The second that she got the opportunity, all she wanted to do was the whole thing with a woman. And she would tell the same story over and over again, that the only reason she started to work in the industry, in the entertainment industry, is because somebody forced a quota on a local news station that they need to have a woman working there. And since there wasn't a woman, they hired Kathleen Kennedy. And Kathleen Kennedy operated a camera or something. And the only reason she did it is because they had the quota. So, like, she told this story in a bunch of different forms, like, each time over and over again, about how, like, the greatest thing ever is that they forced somebody to hire her because finally, like, she could, like, break free and, like, break that ceiling. But you know what? I don't give a shit about all those stupid stories. You take Star Wars, you got to do Star Wars. You can't
yeah.
go and start like it's like all these insecurities. Like her whole life, she's like, oh, like people don't like me. I'm a woman. So once she finally got like to the position where she can actually prove for real if she is as good as she says she is, all she did was just
Yeah.
tap into her insecurities. And it's the same thing with Hedlund and same thing with Kurtzman or something. All those jerk offs. Sorry, Sean. All those jerk offs. Sorry, Sean. Again, fuck it. All those jerk offs.
Sorry, Sean.
Where was I?
There's the thing. There
Uh,
were other women that succeeded at the time. She didn't fail because she was a woman. She failed because she has no talent. And the same,
Right.
um, and boy, if there's a case for stopping and ending quotas, it's the fact that quotas got us Kathleen Kennedy. That's the best argument against quotas I've ever heard.
Yeah, no, I think we got another super chat. Hold on one second. Let me highlight
I'm
this
going
one.
to take a second here to say welcome Nerd Wars raid.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Nerd Wars guys.
Happened a few minutes ago, but
Oh, awesome. Nerd Wars is a good guy. I hang out with him sometimes on Thursdays on his channel, and he does a lot of cool stuff. So, yeah, Nerd Wars is awesome.
They're really funny. They've got a good rapport going on over there.
Hi, kidding price. It's okay. I wasn't offended, Dead Man, for $1.99. Not offended at all. I just wonder if I can find that stupid thing with Kathleen Kennedy where she was like talking about her. Tell some jokes for a second. Let me see if I can find that.
It shouldn't be hard to find. That's all she ever freaking talks about.
Yeah, I was
I've
gonna
seen
say.
it in
Right, yeah, but
an interview.
Which of the 1,000 stupid things are you looking for?
Look for the one
Okay.
where she starts fade in because she's so stupid after 30 years of working in the business. She still doesn't realize you don't read the stage direction out loud. So
okay. Are you ready?
yes,
This
sir.
video was uploaded 18 years ago. So 18 years ago, where are we now?
So she was what, in her 80s back then?
Well, 2025 or what are you saying?
18 years ago. So it was 2007, I guess it was uploaded. So this is years, and I don't know when it was filmed. This could have been even older. Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. Why can't we hear anything?
You can't hear it though.
So, Catherine, we have to ask you, how did you originally get your break into this business?
Oh,
Suck some cock.
sounds
Sorry,
a bit like
Sean.
a fairy tale because I got my break by meeting Steven Spielberg and eventually going to work with him as his assistant and then eventually becoming his producer. So I guess I met the right person at the right time.
So how did it happen?
Bent over?
I had studied film and I came up to Los Angeles looking for a job. And the movie 1941 was in the process of crewing up, and I took a job as a production assistant.
And how's your relationship with people like Spielberg? You've also worked with
She
Shyamalan.
skipped
You've
over the
worked with
part
George
that they gave her a
Lucas.
job. That she
Yeah.
skipped over this.
She was a production assistant. She made
Working with
coffee.
some really talented directors, from Night Shyamalan to Steven to George Lucas, and now I'm working with Gary Ross, who's a writer-director on Seabiscuit, and I consider it very lucky, frankly, that I've ended up with such incredibly talented people making really wonderful movies.
She almost sounds humble
What makes
here.
you decide on a particular story?
I'm usually attracted to stories that have great characters and have some kind of
Ha, ha,
hopeful
ha.
message.
Ha,
That's
ha,
usually what I'm looking for, is something that
This
instills
is funnier
values
than
that
Chris
are close to
Tucker in
mine.
Rush Hour.
And it ranges from things that are wildly entertaining to things that are more personal and more dramatic. So I have quite eclectic tastes too.
Yeah, things that hate
In your
men,
own
things
life,
that
what is your
dislike
passion,
men, things
inspiration?
that
What
dump
keeps you
on
going? What
men.
makes you tick?
Well, right now, my two kids, I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they really keep me going, and they give
I
me a
think this
great
is very old.
perspective
I think this is
on
even
life
older
and
than
my
the
work
2020
Yeah.
whatever.
and
it
a
is.
wonderful
God,
sense
her
of
voice
balance.
is still
I
annoying
do
though.
realize that
My
God has
God.
blessed you greatly, so I have to ask you, what do you do spiritually to develop yourself in your own life?
You know, I wish I could say that I do more. I operate very much on a basis of principle, and I was raised Catholic. I don't necessarily practice it now, but I do a lot of things that allow me to take time and think about all the wonderful things that have happened to me, and that I hope that I can pass that on to others.
And as your role as a woman in Hollywood, how are you changing the social standing of women in this business?
Well, I think the only way I can personally change the social standing of women in the business is by providing some kind of a role model to other women. I didn't have a lot of women
Here.
that I could look to when I first got started in the business. So I really think that that's my way of giving back, as I try to encourage and support and give as many women an opportunity as possible,
That's what I'm saying.
and
She
hopefully
already
show
had
them
this
that you
mumbo
can do
jumbo
anything.
then.
Yeah, just can't.
Yeah.
So what about Hollywood's impact
Why
on the
does it
world?
have to
How do we
always
make
be
that
about
more
her being a
meaningful,
woman?
more powerful, more spiritual?
That's all she talks about.
I wish
Yeah.
filmmakers would take more responsibility for the things that they make and the stories that they tell.
There we
I think
go. There it
it's
is.
very clear that a lot of what does come out of Hollywood is questionable, and a lot of it I personally wouldn't make. I think, though, we live in a world where there's a lot of freedom, and it is a business, and there's a lot of
I
money
think this is
involved,
much older
and
than
that
what
can
the date is
sometimes
of the
corrupt
upload.
anything.
Yeah,
And
this
I
was
think
like
the only thing we can
1985.
do is hope that good, well-meaning people get involved in the business and try to make stories, because this is an extremely powerful medium, and those stories can reach a vast number of people. And I think that that is a huge responsibility for all
Would
filmmakers
the
and all
men she's working
storytellers.
with be listening to
Unknown
this if she wasn't
filmmakers,
bending
how
over
would
for
you
them?
say they would open the door and get their stories made and make a difference in the world?
Well, I think even if you're an unknown filmmaker, I mean, when I worked with Night Shyamalan, very few people knew who he was, but he had tremendous power and strength in the stories he wants to tell. And I think that that broke through very easily. And I think in the second film he ever made, The Sixth Sense, I think it proved that even with a small movie, there was a huge audience. So I think new filmmakers can break through and make
Meaningless
quality
word
movies,
salad
just like Night is
or
proved.
Hollywood
What
platitude.
about distribution? Does the money come from America or overseas nowadays?
I think distribution comes from a wide variety of sources, and I think that's going to continue
She
to
sure
change.
had a lot
I
of
think
questions for some lady she met in
distribution
a hallway.
avenues in our
It looks
business
like
is
an
what
Oompa
is
Loompa or a
going to
little
be so
munchkin
hugely
she's
affected by the
interviewing her.
internet
Well, that's not. I
eventually.
don't
And
have
I
any
think
issue with
as
that, but
film slowly drifts away and the digital medium comes into play, I think that could even grow to
Oh
be
no,
more an
Chipmunk.
avenue for distribution. I think financing movies are
It's just
so
the high
expensive
pitched
right now
voice that
it's
she's
sped
like
up.
black.
It's
that
Yeah, you're
more
just
and
gonna
more
make it
lies
sped
worse.
very
up,
much in
yeah.
the United States right now. But I see more and more films coming out of the foreign market that are wonderful and gaining access to a wider audience. And once that happens, then I think there are a number of companies overseas that will be interested in investing in films too. So I think it has the opportunity to become more diversified.
What about special effects? Is it still Hollywood that does the best special effects, or is more technology coming from outside?
Well, I always hesitate to say that Hollywood does the best special effects, because certainly you've seen what has happened over in Australia with Peter Jackson and the Twin Towers and being able to put together a wonderful group of special effects artists to create those films. But it too is a wildly expensive proposition, and you just have a concentration
This
of
is-
talent
Didn't
in
she
this
name
country
the Two
because there's a
Towers?
concentration of movies being made. It's
Yeah,
very difficult
yeah.
to put together a group of
She's,
people like
This
that
is
and
over
only have
20
one
years
movie
ago
once
then.
in a while. You have
Yeah,
to have a
this would
steady
be
stream of product.
2001
So I think that's why
or
for quite some time you'll probably
2000.
see the big special effects movies continually come out of this country. But
Probably
gradually that will
2003.
change
Yeah,
if
did
in
she?
fact the
Well, I
production
think
base
this
begins
was.
to change.
It
which I
sounds
hope it
like
does.
before the
Do you have
movie
any
came
say-so on the
out.
artists that you put in a movie, in a project?
Oh, yeah, I get very involved
Maybe,
in
yeah.
everybody I hire. It's very important
Oh,
to me to be a part of choosing the people that I work with, and that's something that I consider a real privilege.
So what qualities do you look for?
Well, I certainly I look for talent. It sounds basic, but I like people to be nice.
I like them to
enjoy
have a
people who have a
vagina
variety
and
of
no
interests.
penis.
They have a balance to their life, because I think that that's what makes them more creative.
And they have to
So
agree
those
with
are the kind of
everything
things
that
that I
I
look
say.
Oh yeah,
What are your
and they have
secrets
to
or
be
ingredients
brunette
to
and
success?
British.
Oh, I think
Oh,
you have
that's
to
why
always
she's
be
being
honest
so
with
nice.
yourself. You have to listen to the things that truly interest you. You have to have strong values that you're trying to support in your storytelling. And then you have to have a little bit of luck and a lot of tenacity, and you have to work very hard.
And you
do
have
you feel
to
about tonight's
marry
award?
the guy with
I'm
the
very happy
money
about
who's the
tonight's
main
award, because these
producer.
are the people that
Marrying
I
Frank
think
Marshall
often go
was helpful.
unnoticed in the filmmaking
yeah, that's
process.
very helpful in
And I
becoming
think
a
editors
producer.
are very much real artists
mean,
involved in the process. And so I'm very honored to be
That's
acknowledged
why
by them.
she's so
Will you be going to
bitter.
the Oscars this year?
Because she rode the
You know,
coattails of
Probably not. I hate to
more
say it. I usually
talented
don't go unless I'm
people.
directly involved,
And
because
she
it's
knows
much
it
more fun
never
to just
had
kind of
anything
curl
to
up
do
in your
with her.
pajamas in your bathrobe and watch it on TV.
I mean, really, that I'm convinced she's so bitter because she knows that she didn't do any of this herself. Everything, I'm not saying she just slept with the guy. I mean, she married him, obviously, but yeah, that's why she's in the position that she's in. It's like marrying into money. It's not like you earned it. Sorry.
I still didn't
mean, look,
find the thing that I wanted. There was one thing that I'm telling you, that she was like telling this story about how
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
I've seen it before, that she worked at before going to Spielberg. The part that she left out was that she started at a news station that didn't want to hire women. So somebody told them, you didn't hire any women. So they said, okay, here you go. I think this is
I
it.
got a job at a local television station operating camera. I'd been working in the newsroom. I'd been doing a number of different jobs.
Sure.
And several years later, I went to this party of a colleagues in Vermont. And there were a number of different people, not just people in the entertainment business,
Can you hear
at
it?
this party.
Yeah.
And this woman walked up to me and she said, "You're Kathy Kennedy, aren't you?" Now, I first of all, I was enjoying the fact no one had any idea who I was. But I was surprised. I said, yes, I am. She said, well, I work for a law firm in Washington, D.C., and we filed a petition to deny against the station that you were working for. And we made a condition of the license that they hire women in technical positions, and you were one of them. And we've been watching you. So
That's
I at least felt
illegal.
good
That's
that I had
ridiculous.
managed to use the job in a way that has put me where I am today. But what I think is really interesting is the fascinating thing that I look back on is that the fact that that opportunity was afforded me, it's really put me in a position to make decisions that affect a lot of the women that I work with today that I think has made a huge difference. I mean, the fact that I can sit in a meeting and say, I think the protagonist should be a woman. I think that those are the kind of changes that are really, really important in our business.
She
And
means
that
everything
was
she
the
says
beginning.
here.
That was,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was really
absolutely.
what put me in that
100%.
position.
She said, I sit in meetings, I say that the protagonist is going to be a woman. That's something that I can do now. She
Yeah,
said it.
yeah,
There's no way
absolutely.
around it. People are like, oh, you just thought that she said the force of female. It's a Nike t-shirt. It's not a Nike t-shirt. It's not anything like that. She meant what she said. She said the force is female because that's what she meant. She wore the shirt because she knew exactly why she was wearing it. She's the one that wanted everybody to wear that shirt at that event. And here, when she talks, she gets to talk about the secret society of women that helped her and how now that she's in charge, she can
Yeah.
say that the protagonist is going to be a woman.
Yeah,
The
the thing is,
unfortunate reality is that she set women back.
oh yeah, because of
When we talk about
incompetence.
how,
Yeah, every woman given the position and not earned end up setting women back with their incompetence. And the fact is, she already had the job. She just wasn't in the area that she wasn't any good at. And they forced her into doing that. And I'll bet she was a really shitty camera operator.
Professor R2 says that the interview in the hallway was September 20th, 2003. I believe that. That seems to line up. We're talking about like 22 years ago. That makes sense.
Yeah, did she say Twin Towers and not Two Towers?
Yeah, she said like the Twin Towers and she meant the two towers, but you know, it doesn't surprise me. She doesn't know anything. There was an interview, and I don't know where that video is. I regret that I didn't save some of these things. There was a video where some kind of fluffy magazine interviewed her, and we're asking her about her career and like movies that influenced her. And she didn't even seem to even bring up Star Wars. Like Star Wars is not even something that she likes. She doesn't even like Star Wars. That's the thing.
No.
She
No,
doesn't like
Indy
it.
was the one that she really wanted to destroy.
Right. She wanted to destroy Indy. And again, she said what she meant. She
Yep.
likes to sit in meetings and say the woman is the protagonist is a woman. She just said it in an interview. People are like, no, you read too much into it. You made it a
Yeah.
conspiracy. Recently, we were told it's not Bob Iger that ruined Star Wars. It's not Kathleen Kennedy. Bob Iger, he was the one that wanted it. Listen, Bob Iger has his own issues. And probably we could sit here and like, do a whole list of like stupid thing that he's done. No doubt about it. But to try to take away the responsibility from Kathleen Kennedy for the Star Wars failure is ridiculous.
Yeah,
She
I
knew
didn't think
exactly what she
anyone
was doing.
I didn't think anyone was buying that, but you know what else she said? Remember the thing Spielberg says she's always had the worst ideas. Instead of the boy gets to the girl, how about the boy gets to the dog?
Right, and they would basically tell her, "Shut up, Kathy." Like that would be like her role in the thing. Basically, initially she was supposed to just, I guess, like be more of an assistant, but they didn't like what she was saying, so they're just like, "Fine, do this, do that." She kind of failed upwards from the first day,
Yeah, well, she was really good at firing people, and those guys didn't want to deal with it. So she
That's the main thing. She sometimes in a production, you need somebody that's just a complete bitch.
The
that'll
hatchet
tell-
man.
And Spielberg and Lucas don't want to look like they want to look benevolent. You want to keep around somebody like her who's just ruthless and says all this stuff, and like then you seem like the benevolent person. You don't know what happened. It's not you. That's something that maybe could be useful in a production. That is maybe how she really got ahead, at least partially. That she she
No.
was that bitch. But the thing is that being that bitch doesn't mean that you're creative.
Yeah,
It doesn't
no.
mean that you can run an actual studio. She had no passion for Star Wars, and the only thing she knew is that once there was somebody gave her a job to work a camera through some like secret agenda, and like now she was going to say that all the protagonists are women. She said it. She said it in this interview.
Yeah,
There's
no.
no way. There's no way to interpret it any other way. For all the people that have been like yapping for years, saying like, no, you don't understand. No, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. She is 100% expressed what her ideas are. She anytime you give her a microphone and she speaks what she really thinks, which is rare, but anytime she'll do that, you know exactly where she stands.
I love when you just took it from A to Z. That was perfect. It's like somebody gave her a camera and now she's making all the protagonist women. That's just beautiful.
But
Because
that's what she said.
yeah,
I mean,
that's
did you
exactly
listen
what
to the interview?
happened.
That's
Yeah,
exactly. It's not
but,
like
but
it's not like I had a creative imagination to reach it. I had to sum up the video, kind of like when AI sums up a video in one sentence. I
yeah,
had to use AI in my brain to sum up that video in one sentence. Somebody forced somebody to give her a job as a camera operator. Now all the protagonists are women. That
yeah,
is what she said in the interview.
yeah.
You
But
can
it
dance around it
eliminates
any way you want.
all the distracting shit in the middle. But honestly, even though she was the designated hatchet man, and I'll bet she was really good at that job, it was marrying Frank Marshall that made her, into producer land. Like if she hadn't married that guy, she would still be firing people for DreamWorks or whatever, Amblin.
So I was going to say the dynamic there, I can see them using her to be the bad guy. But I mean, keeping her around.
Yeah, well, that's why.
There's a dynamic. It's like either she was sucking everybody, or like
No,
you say,
she's married.
marrying Frank maybe made her kind of
Yeah, well, you have
'cause
to keep her around
either all
now.
those men were huge simps, right? Or they kind of just had to go along with it because she was the wife of Frank,
Yeah,
and they
that's
didn't want there, and they just didn't have the gumption to say, "Hey, man, this chick is hell more trouble than she's worth. We don't really want to go along with this." Nobody
yeah. I'm
had
gonna
the,
give her credit. I don't think she's like the sleeping around, whoring around type. I think
no,
she met Frank, they
yeah.
got married, and once she's his wife, she is Mrs. Executive Producer, and there's not a goddamn thing anybody can do about it.
Right, they couldn't that
I,
was
I,
for job security. I hate to say it, but
I,
it was kind of
yeah.
job security. Frank Marshall was more important than she was, and maybe if she hadn't married Frank Marshall, she'd still be part of their crew, but I think that, like, marrying Frank Marshall, who was really crucial to their team, and they really valued his, like, opinions and respected him more, having him and then her marry him, it was a good setup for her. Now, it's possible that maybe she really did like him. They've been together for many years.
Yeah, yeah,
I
probably.
sometimes secretly feel a bit bad for Frank Marshall. I don't know if I should feel bad for him because, man, that lady is no fun. There is not a moment that I've ever seen of this lady, even on any kind of interview or anything, where she seems less than kind of this stuck up, miserable lady. She never seems fun. I will say that in the 2003 interview, she seemed a little more humble than we would get later, where she becomes more
Well,
condescending and annoying than she was
that's what I
there.
mean, right? I
Yeah,
mean, like
Yeah.
yeah.
she's she's okay. I don't like her. Maybe I personally don't like her. I can say, in that interview, she was 50. She looked pretty good for 50. I
Yeah.
mean, she does, right? I mean, like
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
not my. I wouldn't personally be on to that, but she's not bad looking. All right, for 50 at that
No, for a
point,
50-year-old woman,
and
she's not bad looking in that thing. And she
she was
also
certainly.
she was encouraging the male gaze in that interview, if you noticed, Cece.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta give her credit. She obviously, yeah, you're right. There was a little bit of a humbleness that you won't see today, but you
Yeah.
definitely would have seen it there because she would have needed it then.
Well,
And maybe she really was
her humility
tactful
was
enough. Yeah,
consistent with her position. The higher she got, the less humility that she
yeah,
had to
exactly. So I
pretend.
mean,
But you know what? I
Right.
I believe she listen, it's just like Jerry Ryan. I believe she loved Brandon Braga, but it didn't change the fact that she was guaranteed her role in the show. One, because like all the boy fans like loved watching her in the cat seat. But she was fighting a lot with oh God, what's her name? Boomerang, Catherine Janeway. And she's dating the producer of the TV
Mulgrew,
show.
Kate
Yeah, Kate
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 Mulgrew.
Mulgrew,
Mulgrew.
yeah,
Yeah, so
who is a very beautiful woman.
yeah,
If
Ryan isn't
I may
gonna
say so.
lose that fight. So if anything,
I'm
Janeway
No,
very
would be leaving
impressed.
the show. Yeah.
I'm very impressed that I knew that Kate Mulgrew was Kate Mulgrew. I mean, I didn't
Well,
even Google it. But
like
go on.
I know it most of the
that
time, but
two
Boomerang.
very very attractive women. Can't
Jerry
complain.
Ryan is a good-looking woman. There's nothing for me to say about Jerry Ryan. I can't think of a bad word to say about her. She
No,
looks
no,
very nice.
she
Is that a slight
she
Even
against
now.
Kate?
she kept the show on the air, but there was tremendous tension between her and Kate Mulgrew, and the fact is that Ryan ended up dating the boss, and so we know who was going to win every one of those fights. So
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the truth, and this is my confession. Out of all the Star Trek shows, I've seen every episode of every show except for Voyager. Voyager, I started
oh yeah,
watching. I think that I jumped off after about a season. Never even got to the Jerry Ryan point. Although I've seen clips, like I know what she looks like, and I know even back then she was hot. She
oh
still is.
yeah.
But yeah, I always tell myself you have to sit down and watch this show. I don't know why that
Uh,
first season alienated me so much. There have been other
Because
you know
shows.
what?
it's
Voyager had some
bad.
serious lows to go with the highs.
Yeah, it
You-
If
actually
you're gonna
got
watch it, skip the bad stuff. You can do a partial rewatch. I know some
yeah,
people
but
aren't into that, but
except
I
it's
want to
all
watch
bad
everything,
stuff.
but I just can't bring myself to
No,
do it, and
no.
it's so strange. Like if I did it, basically, when it comes to Doctor Who, I've watched every episode, even the shitty ones later. Sorry, Sean. And then when it comes to Star Wars, I've seen all the whatever shit that they've ever made, even the Disney stuff, like all the shit I've seen it. Except for maybe Star Wars Visions or those kind of things that are for children or whatever. Like there's a few things that already I didn't have patience for. Not that I liked all the Disney stuff; it was all shit too. But Star Trek, I would have a trifecta of like a perfect record, except for Star Trek, which I didn't watch. Like I watched all of DS9, all of the Next Generation, all of the original series. Voyager is the only one. That's the one that's missing. That I've seen all the movies, all the different movies. Now I admit that Kurtzman Trek is not considered Trek for me. Like I watched, I think 1 or 2 episodes of Discovery when it came out, and I said this is not Star Trek. Never looked at it again. Picard, I watched like the first few episodes, whatever that thing was. Jumped ship immediately. Anything else? I watched Section 31, which was just a disaster. But most of what Kurtzman has introduced, I've jumped ship. Strange New Worlds or whatever it's called.
Yeah, awful, awful.
Is it called Strange New Worlds? And
Yeah,
I watched like
I
I
made
think
4 episodes into that.
I made it
Maybe
maybe
5.
2. I think that I watched 1 episode. I was really, really annoyed. And then in the middle of the second one, I think I jumped off. I thought that there was like a Spock without a shirt walking around, and I didn't know why a shirtless
That
Spock
was the
walking.
first episode, yeah.
You know what? That
look,
already annoyed me. I'm like, what the fuck? Sorry, Sean. I'm really sorry today. So what the fuck is that stupid thing that I'm watching? And that they said that Christopher Pike, like he looked like this like beta loser, as opposed to like the original Christopher Pike, which I consider the only legitimate Pike. So I couldn't, I couldn't go along with it.
listen,
So
He
I
has a
basically,
massive quarters with a fireplace.
I consider Voyager barely above the level of Kurtzman Trek, and sometimes lower. It doesn't have all of the wokeness, but it has all of the stupidity. It's basically TV writers trying to pretend to write science fiction, but they get none of the science part and all of the fiction. And they're just taking like the story from Law and Order and transposing it onto the Voyager, and it doesn't fit. And
I
as TV writers, man, a real Trek is written by sci-fi writers, not television writers.
I may be nitpicking here, but I mean, as much as the Enterprise D is supposed to have a crew of over 1,000 people and families, the Enterprise, the original Enterprise, I think it had a crew of like 100 people. It was that was
about
a
230, between 230
okay.
and 320.
Thank you.
At hold.
But that was a different ship and a different time, and that should not have had a quarters like they're giving Captain Pike in that episode with a fireplace and a kitchen and all
Yeah,
that.
it's just
That was
absurd, man.
there is no way that was on Captain Kirk's Enterprise. That was not going to be on a previous ship. It just makes no sense whatsoever. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but it was a
No,
bit
no.
stupid.
Well, that's the science fiction fans are going to nitpick, and the stuff needs to fit together. And if it doesn't work in one aspect, it's not going to work, because that's how science fiction is, man. You need the science as well as the fiction.
I really like Enterprise. It's a show that nobody likes except for me. I love Star Trek
I like
Enterprise.
it. I like
don't care,
Enterprise.
I don't care what anybody thinks. I think that Star Trek Enterprise is delightful. I absolutely like the show. People are like, "Don't you care that they got in the middle? The showrunner went this, and the pressure from the network, and they changed course." Well, I don't give a shit about anything. I like it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
The only comment I'll have is there's things that happen in that finale that annoy me, and if there was ever a way to retcon that finale to make it seem like it's not what we thought it was, and to fix that mistake they made, aside from the finale, which is like a tough pill to swallow, that
Yeah.
It
show
was
is
rushed.
great.
I have
I
no
They
absolutely
idea
intended to.
love
They
why.
intended to go on. They were canceled. They had to rush that at the last minute.
Yeah, but that's
I
a
kind of give them
weird
a little
way
bit on
to
that.
that's a
really
weird way to
rushed
wrap
and
something up,
annoying ending.
man.
It's an
Yeah.
unacceptable ending if you really think about it. I understand they rushed and did all that stuff, but I don't like the ending. Aside from the ending, which I'll accept that criticism, enjoyed that show. I
It
enjoyed
was
that show very much.
fantastic cast.
Oh,
Sorry to
Scott
cut you off.
Bakula as the as Archer, that's great. But also the guy that played Trip and
Yeah.
Malcolm and T'Pol. I just really like that crew. They had a good chemistry. Really enjoyed that crew. So yeah, I like it. I like Enterprise. Nobody's going to convince me that I don't like it. Uh, Deep Space Nine is a quality show. Maybe out of all of those shows, Deep Space Nine is the number one quality out of all those four shows. But when it comes to like, some kind of playful enjoyment, I really like Enterprise. I thought that what's his face? The Next Generation is one that I mean, honestly, I like everything. What am I going to do? I like the original series. I like the Next Generation, like Enterprise, like Deep Space Nine. They're all different. I like all of them.
Yeah, I think so the original Enterprise had 203 crew, but then that was under Pike, and then it was 430 by the time Kirk took command. So it's about a
All right.
thousand
So I
feet
mean,
long, but the JJ Abrams Enterprise was 3 times as big because he always has to kick everything up a notch.
so
God,
it
that
makes
guy
no
annoys the
sense.
fuck
Such a
out of me.
weirdo. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did ghost me once.
I do, man, it's hard not to like Scott Bakula. I'm not a huge Enterprise fan because of it turned me off initially with the liberties they took with the canon. But I can go and I can watch an Enterprise. There's a streamer that does weekly watches of Enterprise right now, and I recently rewatched the whole thing. I've got my issues with the writing there, but I never had an issue with the cast, and it can still be
It's a
fun to
great
watch.
cast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like one thing that I guess they technically should not have had view screens.
Well,
I have to kind of give them a pass on that, right? It's like
I'm not sure
I'll
they
take the view
needed
screen.
gantry to make it look like a brewery either, but look look at what JJ did. Uh, nitpicking is what sci-fi fans do, but
The only thing in Enterprise is that theme song was shitty. I
yeah,
mean, I think people have talked about this many times in a
Yeah.
bunch of different places. If they had just had a normal opening for Enterprise with the captain doing some kind of like, narration and some cool score, I think that already that show would have been better and more successful. It's that weird opening song that they wouldn't let go of, and I don't really know why. It was a terrible theme song.
well, one of my problems, TNG was great, but all of the shows subsequent to that had just this lazy low tempo, instead of dun 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 dun, dun it was like dun 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 dun. And I'm like, man, where's the energy? It was all, and Voyager was worse. It was like put you to sleep. And then, yeah, we get to Enterprise. I'm like,
Talk about
I-
diminishing returns for themes.
Well,
yeah, we
Caleb
thought we were on
Levine,
the wrong channel when the premiere of Enterprise happened. They started playing the song. We thought we were watching the wrong show.
okay, so Price, if he ghosted you, he did you a favor.
Yeah.
I'll say this, and I've said it before. I actually needed an answer from him and his people about something, and it was on point business. It wasn't some weird like stalking or weird marketing. It was like something he needed to give an answer on something, and I can't really get into more of what that was. I want to add here, it's not that I'm very important in this equation, but sometimes something happens where even a guy like that has to give an answer to a person like me, or however you want to describe it. I was trying to get that answer out of this guy, and this is the way I understand it. I don't have any way to prove it, and I want to say here at Price of Reason Studios, we speculate sometimes. My thoughts were at the time is that after I called his office a few times trying to follow up because he needed to make a decision on something, which I realized that he didn't want to make a decision, because if he would have made the decision that I thought he was going to make, it would have possibly put him in a not so great light, which he probably didn't want to be in. So what happened at that point is, and this is just my opinion, he told his office that like they must have a system that if a number calls that's undesirable, it goes to like a very specific voicemail. Like, I don't talk to people anymore. I don't get transferred to me from to anybody to anybody. Like, there's no operator, there's nobody that answers me. I call and like it goes to some kind of strange voicemail. And I believe that that's what they did with my number because they didn't want to answer something that they needed to answer. Now, again, this answer, is it the most important thing in the world? No, but this just goes to show you, at least in my opinion, how much of a petty. And again, this is just my personal opinion. I usually I think I once mentioned this on a stream. I probably shouldn't, but this is just my opinion. I think he's a slippery weasel, but that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that it's a fact. Okay, I don't know. Maybe he's wonderful. My opinion is that he's a slippery weasel, and then I kept going to voicemail because he wouldn't give the answer. At
Did
the
you
end,
ever
though,
did you
what you
ever think about calling him from a different phone?
I did call from a different phone. Initially, the person at the the answered, and I went to the office and all that stuff, and I got to his office. And when they had realized what had gone on, they said, "Yes, yes, like we're going to call you back." Did that. The next time I called from that number, same thing. They added the number to the blacklist.
Oh
So
yeah, I
that's how I
believe it.
knew. That's
I,
how I knew this thing was being done. And not that I can give any more information. At the end, I made a few phone calls on my end, and some people put pressure on him. I can't believe I'm saying this. Put pressure on him, and he ended up making the decision. The decision I knew he would make. I knew exactly what he was going to do. It's just at the end he couldn't worm his way out of it. And the only satisfaction I got, and it's something so small. I mean, this guy has a ton of money and is a big shot. I'm not a big shot. It wasn't. I don't have that kind of money. I'm not a big shot. We're not. It's not like I'm trying to suggest that he and I are in the same league. On the contrary, he probably thought to himself, "What is this little shit calling me? Like I'm J.J. Abrams. Why is this person even calling me?" But at the end, I made him give the answer. Like the thing that he
As
wanted to worm his way out of, he couldn't do it, and he had to give the shitty answer. And I knew that he would give the shitty answer. And at least at the end, a few things happened. One, for whatever it's worth, there was like a moment, maybe a moment in this guy's schedule that he said, "Man, this guy, like, not easy to get rid of this asshole." Like, must have gone through his head. And two, he must have said, "Yeah, I am a slippery weasel." I can only assume.
well, even if you're not
just
important, sometimes we work for important people and we're the go-betweens. And you got to answer me because my boss is important, and he told me to get the answer from you, kind of thing. So
just
Right. It
just a
was
little
it was
side
something like
story to
that.
back you up. I mean, there was a post game show for a hockey team I used to follow, and I tried for months and months for an FM, like a FM radio, right? I tried for the longest time to call into this post game show to make my comments, and it was always busy signal, busy signal, busy signal. One day I got through, and I was like, wow, I got onto the air onto the show to talk about the team, and I felt like I did an all right job, right? Every time after that, when I called in, I got suddenly somehow from that same phone number, I got through cleanly. I got that ringtone and I got to the operator without any difficulties ever again after that.
oh, cool.
It's
Yeah.
almost as if they put me on the good list,
Oh, I'm sure they have one of
I
Because
those
think
you're a
too.
this
nice
is
guy. You're the guy they put on the good list. They put me on the bad list.
it's a thing, right? It's
well,
definitely a thing.
and in business, a lot of times people will avoid making a decision until it's too late, which is also a kind of a decision. But that way they can claim, they didn't look bad. Like I wanted to renew my contract, but apparently they never made the offer. I didn't get the offer in time or whatever. But no, really, you didn't want to do it, but you didn't want to look like you didn't want to do it, sort of thing. So I see that stuff all the time. Just delay, delay, delay until it's too late.
Yeah, yeah. I understand exactly what you mean. And I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have told that whole story. And again, I want to clarify, this is not a situation that it's like a chess match between like me and JJ Abrams. JJ Abrams, as much as I think that he's like the Hamburglar of Hollywood, that he's a sham and I don't believe one word that this guy says. I think that he's a hack. I don't have almost anything good to say about him, but he is a guy that's has a lot of money and has made real films and whatever. It's not that I was calling from a position that I have any kind of power like that. It was just that there was something specific about a production that he needed to give an answer on, and I am telling you exactly what I said. That had he given the answer, it wouldn't have presented him in the best light. It causes him to maybe look not so good for a minute, and like that's how petty is. That's my opinion. That's how petty is. That it's better to start like putting a person on the bad list so that like you won't have to give the answer. Because maybe if he puts you on the bad list, then you'll go away and you won't have to say anything, and then maybe like it'll work itself
Yeah.
out in a way that it could like work itself out in the way that he wanted, but he never has to say the thing that makes him look negative. Do you understand?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Your intention was for him to look good in the end, right? To help him in the end.
No, I actually thought he was an
No?
asshole, and I wanted him to look bad, and I called because I knew that he would look bad, and I wanted to know that he is a jerk, and that I know that he's a jerk, even though I'm just like
Okay.
I'm like
Yeah.
nobody.
So
I
he so
knew.
he put you on the blacklist, and maybe you should have been there.
Listen, I agree with your I agree with your opinion of him. I
But
mean,
you
look
know
at
what?
who
Maybe
he
I should have been there. I still made the calls, and at the end, he had to admit he was an asshole. So it didn't help him. It did not help him. He couldn't get out of it. I at
I
least I
was trying
told
to
you
give you
there's
some credit here, Price. I was trying to
it,
no. My
give you
intentions weren't good. Here's the thing. My intentions weren't good, but you know what? Had he been like, at least said the truth and said, I've made a decision, it's A, B, C, D, and that would have been the decision that he needed to make pertaining to something that I was involved in. If he would have said that, even though to myself I would have said, man, this guy is a weasel, I would have at least let it go. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have continued to then call other people that would then, escalate it and then people would call him. I wouldn't have done any of that. You know what I mean? I would have just taken and said, it is what it is, and that's it.
yeah, well, your opinion of him, like you said, you don't know anything, but listen, man, look, he and his wife, look at all the things they've done. Look at who he's married to. I bet Warner Brothers doesn't think he's that great a person now. I mean, we were talking
Where's
about
Professor
Me Too
R2?
earlier. That was her whole power grab thing.
Professor R2 is traveling right now, Tim, and he has dropped some messages here. He's listening, but yeah, J.J. Abrams is the one of the four horsemen of the Disney
Yeah.
apocalypse. Yeah,
Well,
Actually,
he has disappeared.
as slimy as he is, I think his wife is twice as bad. That's Katie McGrath, who was pretty much the architect of the Me Too purge. That that 90% we were talking about. That's on her.
I see. Yeah, no, I know that she is. I don't trust him or his wife or him or whatever. Never trusted the guy, and he doesn't have work that's good enough to sort of compensate for his behavior. He's always come
I
off
did
as a
act.
hypocrite. I don't believe a word that guy has to say. If not for his parents being producers and for him babysitting Spielberg's kids and all this shit that he grew up, that like everybody was like just trying to make him a thing from the age of 0. If he didn't have that, he wouldn't be nowhere right now.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
will
really the
say
part that's annoying.
I actually kind of like Mission Impossible 3, but that's about it.
I'll tell you something about Mission Impossible 3. I always feel when people bring that up that it's a movie that somehow did okay in spite of him and not because of him. I don't think that there's anything that happens in that movie that really demonstrate what a great director he is. I think that
No.
Tom Cruise at that point was very heavily involved when it comes to the filmmaking. He wasn't just a guy that sits around and does nothing. These movies were already ongoing. He knew the kind of vibe he was looking for. J.J. Abrams, maybe out of all the shit that he's done in his life, he somehow managed to facilitate that one more decently than other things. He had Philip Seymour Hoffman. They gave him a screenplay that was a piece of toilet paper. But Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late Philip Seymour Hoffman, was such a good actor that he managed to like chew the scenery in every scene that he was in and make it seem like he's a lot more of a sophisticated villain than than he really was. At the end of the day, it was a kind of a shallow and stupid movie, but it was just okay enough. And yes, I guess out
I
of all of J.J. Abrams' stuff, it's one thing that, like, as a fluke, came out watchable.
Yeah,
actually,
but there were still some.
the dead man in the chat mentions MI3 and MI4. I actually have a theory about this. If you watch Mission Impossible 4, that initial sequence, I don't know this. I just conspiracy theory it. That opening sequence in Mission Impossible 4 is J.J. Abrams, and the rest of the movie is not as much J.J. Abrams, because it feels like a totally different, like,
But
skill
he's not a
set on
director of
screen.
4. He only directed 3.
Yeah, Brad
No,
Bird
but
did four.
he's listed on it. He's listed on it.
Okay. Once he came on board on 3, I think that they had him on board, like, for multiple movies that he stayed as an executive producer or something like that. It was probably something contractual. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't do anything behind the scenes for the 4th one, but very interestingly, rather than directing the 4th one, they brought a different director to direct it. And I will say that Tom Cruise, when he finds a director that he really likes and wants to work with more, he works with him more. Once he got to McQuarrie, he's like, I want to make all my movies with him. He didn't work
Yeah.
with Abrams and say, I want to make 70 more movies with him. He somehow contractually kept him as some kind of consultant / executive producer for the 4th one. And I think that by the time the 5th one came along, maybe it was a 3-movie thing.
Yeah,
Maybe it was a 3 I think the 5th one he's still listed as an executive producer. We don't know how much he really contributed, but
No,
by the time the
he's
6th one
not.
came along, he's not even. Is he listed as an executive
No,
producer?
just a regular producer, and he is not listed as a director in any way, shape, or form for MI4. He's just a regular producer.
Right, that's what I'm
On
saying.
yeah.
Listen, I don't know the agreement that he had for coming on board for the first one. It could have been that maybe they said, "Oh, we want you for 3 movies," but then after the first movie, like, Tom Cruise was like, "You know what? This guy is kind of a weasel. Maybe I need somebody else." And then he said, "Hey, JJ, you're really great. Like, I'll let you stay as, like, the executive producer per
Yeah.
your contract. And meanwhile, I brought this other guy here to direct because you're kind of a weasel." And JJ Abrams said, "Yeah, I know. I am a weasel."
Yeah, and I want to
it
mention
speaks- yeah.
MI3 was okay, but there were some logical disconnects that just
It was
didn't make
very
any
shallow and
sense.
stupid. I mean,
Yeah.
none of those movies are like, award-winning stuff, but I actually 3 isn't my standout for me. I think that, I think that 4, 5, and 6 are superior to 3 in every
Oh
way.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take 5. 5 is my
Yeah.
favorite.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
not talking, these aren't Frederick Forsyth level thrillers, but still
The only one that I'll say the 3, like, well, maybe you can argue about the second one, I don't know. But the only one that, like, the 3rd one really beats is, like, the last one. The 8th one was really disappointing. Uh but for me, like, the bottom 3 of this franchise are like 2, 8, and 3. Whereas, like, then you have 1, then you have, like, 4, 5, and 6. Those are good ones.
yeah, I think only one of them came as close to being as good as the first one, which I do feel like was really well written, well plotted, and everything followed logically. It was confusing on first watch, but they had everything there, and everything about that movie makes sense. It was definitely written by somebody with experience with thrillers and the spy genre.
Well, it was the most Mission Impossible. They kind of became
Absolutely.
James Bond by the end of it, right?
Yeah, there were just more mindless action, but one was very cerebral. It still remains my favorite. And I have to say, man, that helicopter scene, that was a thrill ride in the theater at the time. He always brings the stunts, man. The helicopter coming out of the tunnel. Wow. It's a shame they ruined it by showing it on the ads, because if you were lucky enough not to have seen it and the first time you saw it was in the movie theater, it was a really big deal.
I'm considering doing something that I would probably regret. It's a late hour, and it's probably a mistake.
You're going to
What do
call
you guys
Leslie
think?
Headland?
And no, with the J.J. Abrams thing.
Oh,
You're
well,
gonna call JJ?
you
No, I'm
said,
not going to call J.J. I'm blacklisted anyway.
um, well, as you said, it's sort of a slow news week, but I do have, yeah, go for it.
Go for it? Okay. So basically, if you remember that Colin Trevorrow was supposed to direct Star Wars Episode 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
and then he was fired, and then they brought J.J. Abrams back, and he was going to do episode 9. Now,
We had a better script.
I can't give like any more context because I do have to be careful here, but I'll say that I represented people that were supposed to do something in the production as like initially when it wasn't JJ, when it was like Colin. And there's a lot of things that go into the production. It's like there's so many people tied to a production. And that thing with Trevorrow was already, in motion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't just that like he sat there and after a minute like he was booted out. That thing was happening. That thing was was it like I said in motion, and there were certain
He
people
had a
that were
script
right. I
and
mean,
concept art. Like
exactly.
it was plotted out. Yeah.
So there were a few things that needed to like there were a few people that let's say were tied in some way, shape, or form to the production, tied in a way that you can. It's not that you can't get rid of them, but if there's like a quote unquote change of regime, especially since certain things were discussed with certain people, you have to say, okay, we're no longer going in this direction. We're going in another direction. We're not doing this anymore. Now, what I felt at the time was the courtesy was when that happens, you reach out to people if they were tied before and you just say, hey, we're going in a different direction. Say something. Or at minimum, if those people want to know what their status is, which sometimes you don't know, maybe somebody will say, yeah, I'll still use this service or use whatever. But once you're in a situation that you've changed your mind, I don't think it makes you less of a person to admit that you've changed your mind. Now, if he would have admitted that he just is going in another direction, it didn't even have to be him. It could have been one of his assistants saying, listen, we talked about it, we're going to go in another direction. That's all that they needed to say. Now, do I think that was a shitty thing to do, even going in a different direction for various reasons that I can't go into? I think it was all shitty. But I think that still, as much as I would think shitty, I wouldn't be sitting around and saying that he was a weasel. The fact that he then told his people that rather than getting back to me and saying, yeah, those people that were initially doing something in the original production, they're not going to be doing anything anymore. Instead of saying that, he did the whole blacklist thing. This is where things got annoying for me. And this is where I started making calls to different places. And I knew how to make this more pressure on him, because there's something here that's like very unprofessional and not courteous. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
oh yeah,
the
you got
courtesy
people working. They have to know
exactly
what their schedule is.
And let me
they're
tell you,
turning
and let me
down
tell
other
you something.
jobs.
The people that I'm talking about that were working, they weren't the ones making like $20 million for directing the movie. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These are the people with all of his going out, oh, like I'm so like inclusive, oh, the privilege and the privilege. You stupid fuck. You were from age of 0, you only had privilege. You had people here that were nowhere near the sphere of privilege that you sit at, and you couldn't even, this was like a Mr. Burns maneuver. You know what I mean? You can't say that you don't want to work with them, that you've changed direction. Just say it. It's like the minimum courtesy. So it annoyed me that the guy wouldn't give the answer. That's why I did this whole thing. And then at the end, I put the pressure on from a few different directions. I knew how to make it so that this guy would have to admit the truth. And at the end, somebody got back to me, not him directly, and told me that indeed these people would no longer have anything to do with the new production because there's a different regime and they've changed direction or whatever it is. Now, at some point, the fact that he even had to do that and tell his people and they had to do that, it was more of a matter of principle. It was something that he annoyed me as a matter of principle, and I wanted to I know how stupid this sounds because it's ridiculous because he didn't learn anything.
Not at all.
I wanted to teach him a lesson in like manners. And the thing is that for 1 minute, I taught that guy a lesson for 1 minute. But I will say that after that minute was over and he had to concede and tell the people to tell me what he needed to do to begin with, after that he probably forgot about it, went on his yacht, and I don't know what he does. Like I want to say that he's like with a bunch of hot models on his yacht, but given who his wife is, I think on his wife he's like sitting there and like, I don't know, making her like a souffle or something.
To each their own, but I'll give you an example of like a shelf stocker in a grocery store. If you're going to stock, I don't care how much you're getting paid. You're getting paid $9 an hour, or you're getting paid $100 an hour. You're stocking shelves in a grocery store. Make them look, straight. Like put them side by side so that they're presentable. You're presenting this product. Don't have them all crooked and falling over and shit. It's like details matter. That's the thing I always say. Details fucking matter. Sorry, Sean. And it's like, so I completely agree with you. When
Well,
people just don't put in the detail work that like the minimum required
yeah,
ethic.
but it's not even that. It's like this is a business. That's bad business. You had a business arrangement. You change it, and you
Yeah.
don't even bother to tell the people that you're working with
Y-
that they're not working. That's
I have some
but
super chats and I'm going to get to them in a second, but if I had to quickly explain what I think, and this was the best way for me to explain it, if you ever watched Office Space with like Milton and they're
yeah.
like, well, we fixed the glitch. He thought that he would fix the glitch people and like to people. And I said to myself, no, you're not fixing the glitch. You don't want them there. It's fine. Just say, we've changed our direction. We don't want these people here anymore. It's fine. Just fucking say it. And the fact that he's such a weasel that and it could only be personal. It can only, you're saying, oh, maybe it's one of his people. Let me tell you something. I can't explain why and I can't give you more information. He was 100% personally involved in this. It didn't go to other people. He was involved himself. He didn't want to give the answer, and at the end he gave it.
Well, this shit happens in Hollywood all the time. Do you
Of
remember
course, of course.
Karen McCarthy, who was originally supposed to be the Acolyte showrunner? They had an agreement. She moved to England, and then 2 weeks in, she's like looking for a house, and they fire her and bring on Leslie Headland, and that's just that's so wrong.
Well, I wanna say these things here. We have some super chats. I want to make sure I like them all.
It looks
Let's see
very
what's going on.
colorful. That's
So
nice.
sorry. I hope that wasn't too revealing. I hope that nobody can ever connect me to whatever that is. I feel like at the end I reveal too much about myself, and who knows what'll happen one day. But uh,
No,
at least,
great.
if nothing else, I didn't expose the people that were involved in this thing. I can only talk about myself because that I don't feel right about. But at least
Nah, like
I gave you my
Christ,
account.
there's thousands upon thousands of
And
people involved in
I
the
give you all
production.
my word here, like, for those who are thinking, "Oh, like, maybe he just says this stuff." I am not just saying that. I'm giving you my word of honor. Everything that I just told you now about that situation was 100% true. And I will add, I'm not a big titan. It's not that, like, I don't wanna ever create this, like, illusion that, like, me and JJ are, like, somehow on the same level. He is JJ Abrams. I was just some, like, thorn in his side trying to get some answer because I thought he was a douche. We're not in the same place. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have the
Uh,
yacht and the $100 million or whatever it is. Like, we're not in the same place.
there are
I wasn't
thousands
Spielberg's
of people
babysitter. I wasn't
involved.
Spielberg's babysitter either, Cece.
And maybe you're talking about a small group among those thousands, but it's relevant. The fact that he's disappeared is actually quite impressive because he was seemingly in a relatively secure place, and he hasn't even just sort of lowered his profile. He has vanished.
Yeah,
You
they
know,
cut. Well, they dropped his like Superman movie and his $250 million
everything.
first
Yeah.
look deal. Yeah.
At least I'll say one thing. David Zaslav, he makes some mistakes, but one thing I'll say, he showed up to Warner Brothers when he took it over. Somebody said, like, J.J. Abrams, we have to pay him all this money, he has to make all these shows. He looked at all these agreements. He said, I'm not paying this guy shit. Get him out of my office. I never want to see him
Yeah.
again. And that was it. And you
I
know
love
what?
him for that.
I have to give some points. Something I have to give to Zaslav that, like, you know what? He made some mistakes, but that was not a mistake. He could smell the and I don't have to say smell a rat or whatever it is. He knew that there was some shit with that from the second that he walked in, and he's like, I don't want this guy here. Anything that, like, J.J. Abrams was trying to pitch him, what about my show? What about this? Nothing. I don't want anything. Leave. I don't want any of your shit. Like, they haven't greenlit
My
anything from him.
my sense is if there's 20 or 30 or 50 other people who had small groups that they were fighting for in the same position as you with the same experiences, there's a lot of voices in that room and a lot of people who probably just it was enough. Enough is enough at a certain point. JJ wasn't just doing it to you.
Oh
He
yeah,
did it
yeah.
to too many people. He did it to the wrong people
I agree with
because
you. Well, of
he is
course. Of
gone on
course.
a level that I couldn't have even guessed.
Yeah,
Okay.
You
he
know,
pulled a Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I'm surprised that she's coming back so soon.
I agree with what you're saying, CC, 100%. I'm sure that I'm not the first person that he was like a weasel to. I feel like probably if you tried to even remind him of the incident, he wouldn't remember because there have been so many incidents that he was the exact same weasel towards so many people. You know what I'm saying? I was just one person, a drop in the ocean compared to
Well,
like,
enough
the
drops
people.
are gonna. Yeah, you'll fill a bucket with enough drops. That's what I'm getting at. It's like
the- I
maybe you were dealing with 5 or 10 people out of 5,000, but maybe there was a couple thousand other people with a couple of thousand, with dozens of other people in your position who had the same issues, and it adds up.
Now I want to look at these super chats. Kathleen Kennedy is like Donnie from The Big Lebowski, the dead man. The Donnie isn't malicious though. That's the problem. He doesn't do the whole "somebody gave me a camera when I was young" or
Yeah,
whatever story. Like,
Donnie is innocent. He
yeah, he's
he
like a nice
he
guy.
liked bowling and surfing.
Uh, Jason Webster says Pigs in Space is more culturally relevant and entertaining than Kurtzman Trek. I agree. And that's
Indeed.
for $5. By the way, the Dead Man was $1.99. Now Jason Webster, $5 Australian. Thank you. Good day, Mike. That's my best Australian that I can do. Neighbors. Na-na-na-na-na. Well, fuck, I can't remember that song. You know what I'm talking about.
Sorry, Sean.
I can't believe I can't remember. Neighbors. Na 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 na. Fuck, I need to listen to that theme song again. There was a theme song to Neighbors. I can't remember it. Robot Ed would know. Probably sings it all the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not going to sing.
Regarding Henry is one thing I'll reluctantly give JJ actual credit for. I don't know.
Why? He didn't direct that. That's Mike Nichols.
I think he wrote a screenplay or wrote the screenplay. There was something that he did. I don't really know.
He got screenwriting credit. It wasn't his original screenplay. I doubt he had a whole lot to do with that movie, to be honest.
He probably somebody gave him a screenplay. He farted on it and they added his name. But yeah.
Yeah, he probably is the one that put the shitty parts in there to a generally, pretty good damn movie. And that movie is all about the performances and the directing anyway.
That's $9.99 from The Dead Man. The Dead Man, you're very generous today. I really appreciate that. It's very, very kind of you. So yeah, like I said, maybe he did something there. I don't know how much he did. His whole career, you can say that regarding Henry, maybe some contribution to the screenplay didn't necessarily ruin it. And Mission Impossible 3, a franchise that was also already running, he somehow did an okay, serviceable enough job on that movie, supposedly. I would have to watch it again to tell you. Haven't watched it in a while. Then you have Six, who gave a poop sticker emoji smiling. Thank you, Six. Six is a friend of mine. I really like Six, and I'm always happy to see her here. And then Tim Hayes has been a member for 11 months. Hey, Tim. I did not know that. That's very impressive. So, I guess that was my J.J. Abrams thing. But Cece, do you understand now why I was kind of looking to be an asshole?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't so much an asshole. I just wanted an answer. He didn't have to answer himself. He could have just sent somebody to do it. You know what I mean? He could have sent his most low-level shitty assistant to just say, "Listen, we're not working with these people. Screw you." At least I would have said, "Okay." At least they're straight shooters.
I would not qualify you as an asshole for that. What I would say is I understand as a detail-oriented person that to be good at your job, to be, to actually, the details matter. I've said it before. It's that whatever it is you do, there is a level at which you take the care to put in the good work to actually, to make a good product that lasts. Not something that just fucking falls apart. Don't be the Friday special. You know what they say?
I get you wanted to be a little mean about it because you felt like he treated you bad and you wanted to show him that you're not going to take that kind of crap.
You know what? If it was just treating me bad, I would have said, okay, well, he's just an asshole, and I would have let it go. The fact that there were people that were relying on supposedly work for themselves, so there was a little more at stake here, that people were relying on something, and he thought that he would do the Milton with Office Space. That annoyed me. It's like, dude, just take responsibility. Just say, listen, I'm the producer, I am director, whatever it is. I made some decisions. This is not going to be like it was before. We're not going to be involved with these people anymore. That's it. And even if you have to go back and tell those people, listen, it's not going to work out. At least you can say, well, the guy, he said, he looked at it, he couldn't make it work. Maybe another time. There's also another thing you can do, that you could say, this is people that usually, even like the most slippery of Hollywood, what they would do is, in a lot of cases, would either have their assistant call, or again have an assistant send an email saying like, hey, it's not going to work for this production. We're definitely going to keep them in mind for future ones. That's it. That's like a copy and paste. You don't even have to write that email. You don't even need AI for it. You have like a copy paste template of that stupid thing where you just put in like the names of the people that, and the, like, maybe the department, whatever it is that you don't need, and it just says the few sentences of like, we'll keep you in mind for the future, and that's all you have to do. And he thought that like these people that were relying on this production for work were not good enough to receive the bullshit email.
That's it's also what kind of cues me into this, because I mean, if it was just you alone, you're just one drop in the bucket. And if he was even willing to go to the minimum, the absolute Mendoza line baseball reference effort of sending that bullshit email to people, he might still be making movies somewhere, somehow.
Maybe
And
he annoyed the wrong person at the wrong time, because I can't be
and
special.
maybe
You know what I mean? I don't
maybe
think that-
Zaslav really is that awesome that he's on to the detail work, and he's like, this guy's not fucking cutting it. Maybe it's a bunch of things, but maybe there was 50 people just like you who had the same
Oh,
fucking issue. Sorry,
you know
Sean.
where that happens all the
You
time?
know,
I used to do a little bit of location scouting, and those guys get screwed over all the time. They'll have different teams out. They'll be trying to sign contracts with people in their property, not even realizing that the studio is like totally ditched that particular area. It's a real shit
really?
show. Yeah, yeah.
What? So they're just out there working all day and not realizing the whole thing's already gone and done.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, like people have to get paid, but the fact is, like, you've already got a family agree to leave their house for 3 weeks so they can film there, and they've already decided they're not going to do that. So you do have to pay like a cancellation penalty in the contract, but still but you don't get paid as much, and you've already done all this work. Plus, you've convinced a family to leave their home so you can make a movie there, or a business to shut down for a couple of weeks. Meanwhile, nobody ever bothered to get back to you. Oh, we're cutting that entire part out of the movie, so we don't need that anymore.
it's just the,
Lack of
like, all I'm saying is this was more of just a courtesy and being respectful to people. And again, I will say, the fact, if let's say all the people involved, the people that were looking for this work, and myself, like, we're all like, we all have $100 million each, and we're all sitting on our yachts. You could say, well, he didn't have time for whatever, but like, this guy is the guy with $100 million. All the rest of the people are more just regular people. So I think that it just says something about him. It seems like such a minor and stupid thing, but it says something about him. And since then, I've never had a good word to say about him. Like, I've never. I mean, you could say you're petty, but I am petty. I don't have a good word to say about him. And it's not like I look at his like output and I think he's great. I also think that he's like, I legitimately think that he's the Hamburglar of Hollywood, regardless of anything. But at least in my personal opinion, he also proved that he was a weasel. But going back to this thing, I share too much. I'm going to get off this topic, but the dead man sent another super chat for $4.99. Price, I joke, I kid. You're all good, dude. No, I wasn't offended by anything you said. I love your super chats. You're great, and everything is great. And let's. What else we were talking about? Wicked is a hit. Wicked is a hit.
Did we expect otherwise?
No, I didn't expect otherwise. I will say that I don't like Wicked. I've said it before and I've said it now. I didn't like the first Wicked and I didn't like the second Wicked. And in fact, I dislike the second Wicked even more than I dislike the first Wicked. And the more time goes by from that day that I had to sit through and suffer and watch that terrible movie in a movie theater, I will say that every day that goes by, I can really understand more and more why I don't like it. I think I've said it before, but uh, in a way, Wicked is patient zero for the woke era. People think it's Mad Max Fury Road, or it's the Ghostbusters or whatever, Last Jedi. It's none of those things. The real patient zero for all of this, like if we're like in the movie 12 Monkeys and you have to go to that moment in time where it's like the real patient zero. Wicked is patient zero, because the thing with Wicked is there was a guy called McGuire. What's his name? Not Mark McGuire. What's his first name? Richard McGuire. What's that guy's name?
Not the baseball player.
No, I wish it was the not the McGuire. Let's see.
Yeah, I was
Gregory
muted.
Maguire.
Gregory
Yeah.
Maguire. I had my mic on mute. I didn't. I
So
kept saying it.
let me see if I can find this thing. Gregory Maguire. I want to find his Instagram just so you see what I'm talking
Oh
about.
yeah, he's a super weirdo.
Yep, and I want to see if I can find his Instagram. I think it's here. Are you ready?
Sure.
I don't know why it's not loading. Give me a second.
Yeah.
So this guy, share this tab. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see this tab?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Writer of the Wicked novel, father of three, quiet political activist, advocate for children and their books. So, interesting that out of four things, he's also
Okay.
quite political activist. So he's not hiding that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's quite literally a political activist. Now, when he wrote Wicked, the point of writing Wicked is that he absolutely wanted to make it political. It's not that like, oh, it's a fun thing that he was doing. It was a twisted, dark take. It's so interesting. There have been articles and things that he said that he thought to himself two things. People always quote him that he says, "Oh, I thought to myself, how interesting would it be if the Wicked Witch of the West was like
Misunderstood. Good
misunderstood
guy.
a good person."
And to
But
clarify here first, he's in no way related to the original Oz novels, right? He's
Right. No,
no,
it's
he
fan
has nothing
fiction.
to do with it. He has
It's fan
nothing to do with
fiction.
it.
100%.
No,
Yeah.
he has nothing to do with it. He basically, what he did was he wanted to piggyback off the original books, write a novel that, like, from his perspective, and do it from a political perspective. It was a political book. Sorry to tell you this. I'm not. Listen, I don't care. You know, there have been far left people that may have written good things, but he was a far left political activist that wanted to write books that reflect exactly what his far left political views were. And the things that were of interest to him was, one, that the patriarchy was bad. And the other thing is, in his mind, people always quote in all these articles that he wanted the witch with a green, like the Wicked Witch is actually not wicked. And like they always focus on that. What most of the articles don't talk about, that in his mind, the Wizard of Oz was the German mustache man. That's what he wanted it to be. He wanted the Wicked Witch, like the Wizard of Oz, to be the bad patriarch, the German mustache man, and then, like, you know, the witch is misunderstood. There was no good faith behind his book or anything he did here. And the only thing that happened was, initially when they put it on Broadway, they toned it down a bit. They added some, like, you know, show tunes to it, so it kind of softened the blow. And it was kind of this niche thing on Broadway. And people are like, oh, it's quirky, it's weird. Oh, the witch is actually this. Isn't that funny? So, like, it kind of bamboozled people. But the thing is that I can feel, even when I watch this movie, I can feel the real agenda behind it. Because the foundation of this whole piece of shit is exactly this shitty thing that this guy did. Like, yeah, they toned it down a bit and all this other stuff, but there's no way around it. There is a clear agenda here. And once they made it a movie, that's where the problem started. And in this second movie, they're showing you, and I've said this on a bunch of different places, they're showing you Dorothy the way she looked in the original Wizard of Oz movie, something that didn't exist in the play from what I know. So they're showing you Dorothy and they don't show you the face because they want you to think that it's Judy Garland. So you see Dorothy from behind, but you don't see her face, but you're thinking it's Judy Garland because they want to basically bookend the original 1939 movie with these two shitty movies. It's basically a prequel and a sequel rolled into two movies where they're reframing the narrative of the 1939 Wizard of Oz, so that if you thought that Dorothy did anything good, you were wrong. If you thought that the wizard in that movie was just sort of like you know, well-meaning slippery guy, he's actually like the German mustache man of Oz. And that's the whole point of this thing. And you know, some people can let it slide and say, oh, it's fine, it doesn't matter, the ladies see it, the ladies that. The ladies have had enough of things that they could intercept. They've intercepted enough franchises over the past, I don't know how many years. The only time that I said, fine, give it to the ladies was like the That didn't sound good. The only times, the only time I, the only time I said fine, give that property to the ladies is Barbie, because Barbie, it's fine. It's like so that is a very womany thing. Fine, put all that weird patriarchy into that one. Still think it was awful shit, but put all that there. Wicked. The thing is that you could say, oh, it's Broadway, it's girls with their musicals, it's for women. That's all true. But The Wizard of Oz, the 1939 movie, was initially not a womany thing. That was something that families, I still remember, in my growing up in my, family and things like that, we'd sit on holidays and things like that and watch that movie. It was something that people would sit together and watch. It was a family affair. It wasn't that like only women are supposed to watch The Wizard of Oz. Somehow, this I don't want to say a bad word. I don't want to say a bad word.
No,
Uh,
it's the gays took over Judy Garland is what happened.
Somehow this guy intercepted this thing, turned like reapproached. He did what all those other people do. He was just the pioneer. He did whatever Kathleen Kennedy, whatever Leslie Headland, whatever all those people do. He did the thing initially. He just did it very cleverly. He didn't need to buy Star Wars because it was already an old thing. He just needed to write like a thing with his own context. It took off rather than somebody. He reverse engineered what we see today. Meaning it was more.
He's not officially sanctioned by the original writer of the Oz novel.
On the contrary, he is not sanctioned
canon
by anybody. It is politically driven fan fiction from day one. That's what it was. And the book actually was more explicitly bad. Once it got to Broadway, they toned it down and added some show tunes, so it confused people into thinking, oh, this is a funny little twist on it. And maybe if they would have kept it on Broadway, I would have been okay with it, because, that's a very specific niche and you can go see it. The second they brought it to the screen and they brought like the Dorothy from the original movie and they're trying to confuse you, that's already like acting in bad faith. Let me see. Talk amongst yourself for a second. Let me see if I can find that picture of Dorothy in Wicked.
Well, this would be the equivalent of somebody writing John Carter from Mars book series and turning him into like John Carter, Earth rapist on Mars, and he got just complete ideologically driven fan fiction. But it became so popular that the public actually thought that was the real thing. And yes,
well, that's it, right? The movie's presenting it as a direct connection.
Right.
To
they're trying to pretend it's canon movie. And it's not. Because if you just never mind the Oz books, if you watch The Wizard of Oz, there's no ambiguity there. There's no way in hell that Wicked Witch is anything but, evil.
It's so basically, when you watch Wicked, you see scenes like this where you see Dorothy from behind. Okay, you don't see her face, but if you look at all the pictures, it is exactly how Dorothy looks in The Wizard of Oz. And the reason they don't show you the faces is because they want you to, like, in your mind, put like Dorothy's face in there. They want you to imagine Judy Garland. Trust me, if they could have had Judy Garland's like likeness, if they could have somehow shoved her in here, they would have done it. But instead, they just don't show her face and always show her like this. And they absolutely 100% intend for you to believe.
Yeah, as somebody familiar with the original story, though, this never flies. But unfortunately, so many people are idiots. They'll eat anything you put in front of them, and they love this stuff. And I do think at some point, Wizard of Oz went from a family movie to sort of more of a niche thing, all because of the whole Judy Garland thing.
Let me see if I can find this. Okay, are you ready? Do you understand what they're trying to do here?
Yeah, it's obvious.
Yeah.
They figure we won't show her face. And
if I'm a general public person who's not really thinking about whether or not this is canon or not, I'm watching this and saying, yeah, this is Wizard of Oz. This is connected to the original movie. I have no reason to believe otherwise.
I was on a few streams and people were like, no, you're so stupid that you think that people are so stupid that they'll think it's canon. You don't understand how people are. We sit around here. That's what we do 24/7, nitpicking about frames in movies. You think that the average person that took their kid that thought it was some Wizard of Oz thing, you think they understand that it is tied? Maybe they think it's all the same writer. You think anybody gives a shit? They're
Yeah,
going
but
in there.
Yeah.
There are people that blindly went into this thinking that this is part of that story, and a lot of the marketing, it gives you almost that feeling that, like, initially the first one that was like a prequel, they're like, before there was this, there was that. They really like to, like, play on people's memories and emotions to make it seem like this is all one entity.
yeah,
So
but that's really not the thing is, even if they didn't have scenes like that, it's doing it anyway by using the universe and these characters. It's still basically subverting the original IP, even without stuff like this. This is just kind of
oh,
the
it
icing
well,
on the
there's certain things like Glinda's bubble and the yellow brick, like, a lot of stuff, the way it's presented in the 1939 movie is what inspires this movie. Meaning you could tell even in the first movie and in the second one that they're looking at all these visual cues where they're trying to say, okay, this is how it looked in the original movie, not in the book. The movie itself from 1939 is an adaptation. This is influenced by the 1939 movie that they're trying to piggyback on. So to me, this is like on an artistic level acting in really bad faith. And as long as it was like a fan fiction political play on Broadway, watched by a certain group of people, I think that that was okay. I didn't like it. I didn't go see it. I live next to Broadway. I had like 20 years or whatever it was to go see this play. Anytime that anybody has said, "Hey, do you want to go see Wicked?" My answer was no. They're like, "Don't you think it's cool that the witch is this?" No. Are you sure you don't want to go? No. Even when there was like a woman involved, are you sure you don't want to go? No. Like nothing,
yeah.
nothing you could do would get me to go to Wicked. Like, it's bad enough like going to some kind of Broadway whatever to begin with. But let's say, like, you can twist my arm on occasion if it's something like, that seems normal. This Wicked thing, never bought into it. My instinct told me, even before all the woke era, between all that stuff, they're like, no, the witch is actually misunderstood. She's not anything. This is a piece of shit. I don't want to see it. I said that even just being the grumpy asshole that I am without even knowing all the woke stuff. You know what I mean? Like, but pre-woke, I wasn't even thinking. I'm just like, that sounds like shit.
This is
Sorry,
the
Sean. I'm going
50
off the rails tonight.
this is the 50 shades of gray of the Wizard of Oz, really. Just exactly what happened with the Twilight. But so here's the thing, this movie is before my time, but I'm a bit older than other people here, and I kind of saw what happened to this movie in the 60s and the 70s as certain movements became more popular. Like if the original pride flag was going to have a face on it, it would have been Judy Garland. That she was Barbara Streisand before Barbara Streisand. She was the idol. She was the poster above every of all those dudes' headboards. And I think, they sort of, in a way, they co-opted this movie and it became less of a family thing and more associated with the musical theater crowd. And that's not originally, this was a pretty serious and kind of dark movie. But again, if you go back and watch The Wizard of Oz, you're not going to see the ambiguity that this guy pretends exists in that story. There's no doubt whatsoever that these people are good and these people are bad. And yeah, the wizard was a bit of a schemer and a scammer. He was kind of a con man, but he wasn't evil. He wasn't bad. And he did everything in his power to help those people.
All he wants to do in these two movies, in every scene that you see him, he has a fetish that he wants to harm animals. That's his fetish.
That's
It's like
so
he wants to capture an animal and harm it. That's like all he dreams about all day. That's like his lifelong dream. That's very, very weird. And also, the funny thing is that when I watched Wicked, this is the craziest thing. When I watched the second Wicked movie, I thought that there was a scene in which he was like, it was implied that maybe he had grape juice, that he was serving grape juice to a woman, and perhaps taking advantage of her after she drank the grape juice. And I actually mentioned that, and the thing is that in the movie itself, perhaps it's presented in a somewhat ambiguous way. The best way I can describe it is that they did like a Han and Greedo shooting each other at the same time. Like they tried to make it seem like they're both excited to drink this juice. So if they're both excited to drink it, it must be great. But honestly, something about it seemed odd, and like the way the story beats went and the whole thing, I'm like, why is the wizard even walking around in this flashback with a flask with a strange chemical that if you drink it, then
Yeah.
you get a child that's green, all this weird shit. Because if it's just people are okay, they could have done something where hey, it's just two people that had a bottle of wine and then they got carried away. That way, you can maybe make it work. But once he's walking around with a flask with a strange chemical, it's really hard to explain that situation. And that's why I was thinking to myself,
It
why does he have this flask? This is so weird. Is this like a grape juice thing? And
Oh,
then
the implication is definitely that he roofied him.
Yeah, I was like, does she know what she's
grape
drinking?
Oh.
juice.
Is it like at least specified that she understands what she's drinking?
The thing here's what happens, and sorry if I'm spoiling. It's sort of like a
Yeah.
flashback. Be careful with words that we say. This is
Oh.
YouTube is very careful with words. We have to be
Oh,
careful.
I didn't know that was a bad word. Sorry.
I don't know either, but I try to be on the cautious side. That's why I was saying grape juice because
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
avoid the
Well, I know
any
that one, but I had some guys working on my roof, so I figured that was an okay word.
Yes, they worked on roofs.
Yes.
In any case, what happened here is that in the movie, what happens is that Glinda finds a bottle, and the bottle is like has some sign on it or something like that, and then she confronts the wizard and she tells him like something like you're gonna get on in the original movie, the 1939 movie, the wizard gets on a hot air balloon at the end and leaves and says that he wants to leave and he's like leaving the kingdom or whatever it is. So I think if I remember correctly, because it's already been a few days or whatever it is, Glinda tells him, listen, you're going to tell the people today that you're getting on this hot air balloon and you're leaving Oz for good. And he goes like, why would I do that? And then she pulls out this flask and she says, you, this flask belonged to you. And then like the second he sees it and he looks at her, he very, very quickly has a flashback. Now in the flashback, he mumbles, Jeff Goldblum, I guess, narrates a quick explanation. It's almost a blink and you miss it thing. The funny thing about this movie, every stupid thing that happens, there's a song that they're singing for an hour telling you everything that's going on. The most important revelation in the entire two movies, you don't get a song. You don't even get like a real story of what's going on. Quick cuts. He's like, "Oh, I remember I had a flask and we and this." Like he mumbles something that he tries to explain it. You see this quick flashback that he's supposedly young. This flask sort of he opens it and like his eyes kind of light up as though it's sort of like has some kind of influence, the flask. That's what I'm saying. Is this like a chemical that has influence on people? And then like I guess they show that they're both drinking it or somebody drank it, and the next thing you know, the girl is green. This happens in like 5 seconds. No 5 hour songs, no explanation. Supposedly, this is the most important thing in the movie. It goes by so quickly and so kind of ambiguous that I thought to myself, I get it. They're trying to Han and Greedo thing. They're trying to make it seem like you had this chemical and they both loved it. And that's how like the girl came out green. Doesn't ring true to me. The whole thing seemed weird. And I just said it later that I thought it was like an implication that perhaps it was like a grape juice reference. What I didn't realize is in the original book from this Maguire guy, it was 100% grape juice. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
100% grape juice. It's just they tried to tone it down for the play and for the movie. So the way they toned it down is that he carries a strange chemical that does strange things, but the lady seems happy that she's drinking the chemical. It's a very strange situation. I stand by my original assessment though.
Do you
And I,
realize there's another mustache man here? It's not just the German mustache man that the wizard is supposedly a combination of a Iraqi mustache man and a German mustache man.
I would believe anything. Anything you tell me, I'll believe. Like I said, this whole thing it was made. The original book was created in bad faith. The
Yeah.
play tried to soften it, but at the end, its foundation is also in bad faith. And these movies, which have the same foundation, are also in bad faith.
Yeah, he was actually inspired by the Gulf War. That's when he wrote this. And I guess he was watching Wizard of Oz at the same time or something. So he took Iraqi mustache man and looked at the comparisons to the German mustache man, and he thought, "Oh, you know what? That's the Wizard of Oz."
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, I think that I explained everything, and I don't know.
That
And apparently the reason I even brought all this up is that the studio is so happy with people going to see this movie, they're trying to think now of ways to extend the
yeah,
story.
yeah. Wicked 3
There
is
was an
already in the
article
works.
today that they're sitting and they're thinking, how can we do more of this? And it's
Um,
like, this is your lesson that you did this shit, and now you want to make more of this shit.
but the box office, something weird could happen this weekend. Here's the thing. It had a hell of an opening week, but we've seen movies before have a tremendous opening week, and then the next week they just fall off a cliff. And there's a couple things going on with this. The international showing for this movie is extremely low. And Zootopia 2 is coming out, and that has some there's an intersection of the audience. If a lot of people decide, instead of going back and seeing this again, go to Zootopia, this thing could have I'm not saying it will, um, but here's the thing. We just found out Deadpool and Wolverine lost a few $100 million. It made 1.3 billion gross and it lost money. They spent a ton of money on this movie and over 400 million in marketing. So if this thing doesn't hit a billion, they might not actually make money on it.
You
So
know,
a lot
I
rides on this weekend.
I tend to think, although I have to look into it more, I'm not dismissing what you're saying. They did have the benefit of filming these two movies together, so I think that that helped offset some of the cost. I think that the first movie they did more marketing than the second one, which already they had like a built-in audience. There's a lot of ladies that are going to go to repeat viewings here, and they love this crap. So I don't think this is going to be a big loss for anybody. And this, as opposed to a lot of stuff, I do think is going to do well in streaming, like really well in streaming, and it's going to still have people like I think that this thing is a moneymaker. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll have like the biggest crash ever, but the way that it's looking now, I don't think that they're gonna look at it as a huge loss in any case.
No,
Whether it's
but
right
you
to
know
make
what?
more sequels, I don't know, but we'll see.
But the first one only did about what, 750 million, and it was supposed to do a billion. But I'm convinced the whole weirdness of those two turned a lot of people off that might have gone and checked this out. I, Either way, nobody could see it next weekend, and there's still Wicked 3 in the works. So they've already given the go ahead for that. But I'm just saying this might not be as successful as they say. And remember, when you're dealing with published budgets, it's almost always more expensive than that. Yeah, certainly between the merchandise is doing well. Yeah, it's going to make money. And uh, honestly, this movie is like Barbie. It's not for me. I don't really care. I don't care if they make another one or whatever. I just really annoyed at the whole, Cynthia, that freak demon and starving little child going together, being all creepy. That just drives me kind of nuts. But really, I just sort of ignore it. Like, whatever happens with this movie ultimately isn't really that important to me. Um, but it's nice to know what people are buying into, and that part is a little disturbing that people eat this shit up. It really, it's depressing.
I mean, the thing is like, yes, it's fine. I mean, they could ruin this too, but I just feel like that was another one of those cultural classics that they came to do the deconstruction and take a dump on. And I just feel like I don't feel like being generous anymore. I don't feel like sitting around and saying, no, no, it's okay. Why don't we be nice about this? I don't feel like being nice. Screw that. They
I
ruined
say,
everything. They get to ruin this. Even the Wizard of Oz, the wizard likes to hurt animals all day and give people grape juice. This doesn't seem weird to anybody. Like,
no, no, that's
I
why it
feel like
bothers me.
is the Phobos. I feel like I'm the only sane person left in the world that like grew up with some like classic movie that I watched with my family, and now it's being reframed to explain that the guy hates animals and loves grape juice, and nobody thinks that's weird. All the ladies are like singing in the theater and doing like sing-alongs, and nobody wants to admit the truth.
Well, what I was trying to explain is this movie was already reframed in the 70s and 80s, and it was already ruined then, and it's stepped to being ruined at this point. Now, I say all this looking across the room at a Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande Barbie doll that I actually own. But I bought them. Remember the wicked.com misprint on the packaging?
Yes.
I have 3 of those. Um, that's why I bought them. If you go to the website on the back of this box, you're not going to see the Wizard of Oz. You might see the Wizard of Schnoz or the Wizard of Jizz, but you won't see the Wizard of Oz, or you won't see Wicked. You will see Wicked pictures. So I bought those. I figure, hey, maybe one day it'll be a collector's item. Who knows? But yeah, you're completely right, and it could bother me more if I chose to focus on it. But like I said, I wrote off this movie and to some extent the fandom of the books, 40 years ago. So that's
I
why it
am no
probably
longer
bothers me
forgiving.
less.
I'm not a forgiving person anymore. I don't care, and I don't want to be forgiving
Oh,
anymore.
I'm not
Cece,
forgiving about any of this
Cece, I feel like we haven't
deconstruction.
let you weigh in. What do you think?
I was getting lost in the chat for a minute there. But what I think is they're bound to make a Wicked 3, aren't they?
Yep.
I mean, how can they not at this
Do
point?
you think it's cool that they've taken this and destroyed it as well? Like, do you think we should be forgiving?
No, I mean, we're not forgiving of the rest of it. There's a point at which I think I can appreciate throughout all of history, before we ever made movies and tried to preserve things, the way we do today. Oh, yeah, like back in the day, people drew cave like we have cave paintings. People were always trying to preserve the stories, right? I don't think this is anything new. I think for as old as time and humanity, our stories have been twisted by future generations and changed and altered. I don't think there's anything wrong with us saying, "Hey, now wait a minute. We want to preserve the story as it originally was. We don't want to let it get twisted and destroyed and corrupted by people with agendas."
Well, there's a
to
really strong reason for that. Our entire society and our culture is informed and transmitted by our stories. And about, 30, 25 years ago, our stories started changing and we started looking at these tales of good and evil and going, yeah, well, maybe the evil isn't so evil after all. And we have Maleficent and we have the Dalmatian who's the Dalmatian chick, and all of a sudden these really weren't evil people. They're just misunderstood. And what effect has that had on society? Now we're releasing criminals who've been arrested 72 times and they're setting young girls on fire because, oh, they're not really bad people. They're just misunderstood. So we let them off on a train to, murder people. That's the importance of stories. That's the power of stories and the effect that they can have on society. And I'm very much against all this deconstruction and recontextualization, because it's actually affecting us for real out in the real world. And that's where it really bothers me.
Well, it's the decline. I mean, it is
Tirade.
civilization. It's the basis of civilization.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
mean,
the decline of civilization is to destroy that foundation.
yeah. The question
One
is,
thing if you're gonna come up with a brand new story, everybody has a story. I mean, heck, I was writing a novel at one point that'll never come to pass. Everybody has a story, right?
the
So
question
make
is it the
your own
disease
story.
or is it a symptom? I mean, are we
I
letting
think
out?
I think you can go back 100,000, 200,000. I think you can go back as long as humans existed on this earth, however
No,
long you believe that is, and this has been happening.
no, I mean, are we letting real criminals out on the streets because we feel like they're just misunderstood because of stories like Wicked, or are we making stories like Wicked because we're allowing criminals back on the street, kind of thing? That's my only question. Is it an indicator? Is it a symptom, or is it a driving cause?
Oh, that's a
If
tough
you follow
question.
my
Chicken or the egg,
tirade
right?
there.
uh I that is a tough topic, but I would say that we live in a world by which everybody kind of has to fit into the same the same pot so that we don't self-destruct, right? Like it's a wonder of the world that we have not completely self-destructed as a species. To be
Right. We
fair,
need to sign the
we
same social contract. We need to be in agreement
do, right?
about rules of society.
It's the only way that we don't completely self-destruct and destroy ourselves. But that doesn't mean that we all actually fit within that space. So
Yeah.
there's going to be there's no way around the fact that there's a dissidence, because there are people who absolutely do fit in to the signed contract by which we're all born. We are born, and we don't have a choice in that matter. And there are those who completely do not. And ideally, we can all kind of find a way to coexist. And it's like, people who don't want to be in California anymore will move away from California to a place that they would prefer, right? That's kind
Yeah.
of a simplified way of saying that. Um, but it doesn't always work. And some people are not maybe content enough to simply live on their own plot of land and not disturb the rest of their neighbors. Some people do want to impose their way of living upon all of their neighbors.
Yeah. For those that weren't following me, something really horrible happened in Chicago this weekend. A man poured gasoline and set this young girl on fire on a train. It turns out he had been arrested 72 times, and the judge that let him go free has a history of making dubious financially and socially connected decisions, not based on the law,
Well,
based
yeah.
on.
You
So
just you just answered the question there.
yeah,
Financially dubious.
yeah, but also like oh, like I know these people, I'm gonna do them
Allegedly.
a solid kind of thing. Well, do I
Allegedly.
have to say allegedly? I'm willing to say I'm willing to
Here
stand
at
up.
Bryce
Allegedly.
Reason
Okay,
Studios,
Allegedly.
okay, yeah, yeah. Allegedly, but they have receipts here. The thing is though, she didn't die. She's now sitting in a hospital fighting for her life, completely covered in horrible burns, and uh I hope we all pray for her recovery. That's one of the worst things. It's one of the worst ways to go, but um so I don't want to end the show on like a downer note but that was my thing about, why do we keep letting people who obviously do not fit into society? One second chance, I understand, maybe even a third. But 72 chances, what in the world is going on here?
No, there's something wrong with that. I'm tired of hearing stories like that, they keep letting these guys out. It's super annoying.
Yeah,
And yeah, I mean,
they should be sent to the neighborhood where the judges live that let them out, and they have to move in next door. That's the way this works.
I don't get why, like, it really annoys me that they keep letting it out. I agree with you. It's like it's infuriating. It's more annoying. Uh, the dead man, thank you for 199 again. Very, very generous of you. We have all the time in the world. I guess that was when I was, I don't know what I was talking about. I don't have the context, but I do appreciate the super chat. And yeah, we've seen this. We've seen it in New York. We've seen it with Irina on that train. And
Yep.
we've seen it now in this case that you're talking about, which I did see in the news. Too many criminals. If you've been arrested, like, they're like, oh, the guy's been arrested. It's not the only case. So they're like, he's been arrested 32 times, 40 times, 72 times. If a guy keeps getting arrested every second, and some of the time he's arrested for assaulting people, I think that at some point there has to be, like, it has to stop at some point. It can't be that you keep letting the guy out. That's
Yeah,
just insanity. It's
I'll,
absolute
they've
insanity.
determined that 8% of the people are committing 83% of the crime. If you just locked up that small amount, you would practically eliminate crime across the country. That's just nuts that we're not doing that.
I mean, okay, I shouldn't even probably say this. Friend of mine, close friend of mine, got beaten up um, in a bad relationship.
Sorry to hear that.
He probably should have gotten 15 years. He got 90 days. But boy, he punched a cop. And in those 90 days, they beat him to within an inch of his life. So I'm
It
not
always-
saying that I should do
What's
that.
the moral of the story? That
It always
they
seems-
need to punch more. Like they, I don't want to say it, but yeah, is that your?
No, it always
Doing
seems to
the
happen to the
cop
wrong
is, that's the
people.
only way they'll learn their lesson.
It always seems to
The
happen to the
moral-
wrong people.
I mean, the moral of the story, I guess, is that at least if I'm actually being positive about humanity here for a second, a man from a small town did bad things, and everybody understood that he did bad things, and the system may have failed to execute upon what he deserved, in that he got 90 days instead of 15 years. But the society at large did understand the gravity of his sins, which were pretty grave. And they did ensure that it was taken care of, you know.
Yeah, one, that doesn't seem to happen to all these people that are getting let out, and two, that's not the
No.
way it's supposed to work. But
No, it's not, and you
Yeah.
know it's you know, but
yeah, Price, I have a question on a happier note. Did you
Sure,
see
what is
the
it?
preview for the Sam Rockwell movie? Good luck, be happy, don't die, or good luck, have fun, don't die.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's have you seen it, Cece?
no, I haven't.
There's a new movie coming out starring Sam Rockwell, who I absolutely love. It's called Good Luck.
Fantastic actor, yeah.
Yeah, it's called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. You could probably look it up and pull up the trailer. I don't know if we can play trailers.
Oh, okay. Send me which. What was it? What was it called? Let me find it.
Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, which is a great title.
Good
A little
luck.
bit of a mouthful, but
Okay, I think I got it.
Hey! This isn't a robbery!
Oh, I've seen this. I've seen this.
I am from
Is
the
there a new
future.
trailer?
no. But I don't recall us ever talking about this on the show.
No, I don't remember now. But yeah, we can look at it.
Horribly wrong. I come from a future which is totally, completely fucked. And I'm here to set it right.
Are any of you even listening to me?
You look homeless, bro. Fuck you two. I come from a nightmare apocalypse. This is the height of fucking fashion.
What we're dealing with doesn't interface with reality.
AI? Isn't that a thing already?
It gets a lot worse, honey.
Who's joining me? Who's ready to save the future? The revolution begins tonight!
Good luck, have fun, don't die.
Excuse me?
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're in for a really weird night.
I mean, it looks quirky and weird. I don't know. It's fine. Whatever.
Well, this is from the director of Rango, which I think is a criminally underrated movie, and one of the Pirates. I don't know. I have a feeling that this could be good and fun. When I watched the trailer, I thought it was a really good trailer up to the end where they didn't show too much. I think near the end maybe they show a little.
There's this new trailer with a movie with Glenn Powell. Are you
I
ready?
haven't seen this? Yeah, let's do it.
This is from today.
Okay. Gun to your head. What would you even do with $1 billion?
Why do you have a gun to my head? Since the day I was born, my mother told me we were different. Yes, she had been disowned by her family, But someday I would become the sole heir, the real estate, planes, an island or two.
Beckett, no way. So are you living in the city now?
Yeah, I do. A little outside of it.
Whatever happened to the Redfellow family fortune?
I'll inherit it. Someday.
Well, call me when you've killed them all.
There were 7 of
That's
them.
way too nonchalant.
7 rich pricks. Between myself and $28 billion. If I were to prune a few branches of the family tree.
Wait, who are you?
I'm Beckett.
2 calls, 2 emails.
Been occupied.
With what?
Occupations.
Been working your way up the financial ladder. Filthy business, though.
Hope this isn't a bad time. We had an agreement.
You don't get out of here until you come clean.
Have you heard about the Redfellows?
What about them?
I wonder who's next. If I were you, I might be nervous. Until then, I'm sure you'll make a killing.
That's dark.
That has some potential between that and the other movie and Fackham Hall. Comedy may be coming back here. That's a good sign.
Oh, it is
didn't-
coming back.
It didn't look like a terrible trailer. It certainly looked more interesting than The Running Man, which, I mean, The Running Man didn't have the worst trailer, but it was such a bad movie.
Yeah, it was.
Zootopia this weekend, is that going to do well, you think?
Yeah. I mean, there have been some. I think that comic book news guy projects 400 million. That's insane. But I think they're looking at to do around 250 worldwide. Yeah, it's going to be big. And from what I've heard, there's no there's no weirdness in it. It's sort of a straight up story. No wokeness.
I heard it's commentary that's relevant, and then I saw a clip of it that looked very relevant.
Oh, what was
Made me
it?
wonder.
Do you know what clip it was?
I don't know. It was a 60-second clip off of X somewhere. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's not anymore.
Well, I saw some early reviews tonight by people who really don't go for the woke agenda stuff, and they said there wasn't any in there. So I kind of believe them, but
I gotta take your word for it on that one then.
but I heard that it's
more than what I got.
I heard it's really dense and complicated, and that like younger kids are going to get lost and maybe not. Like the first 2 acts are supposed to be kind of slow and very involved. And so this is maybe more for teenagers up to adults rather than children like the first one. I heard it's a pretty hard movie to follow, which sounds weird. And
I don't necessarily mind if you can tread that line where adults can enjoy it and it can also be entertaining to kids.
Yeah, but that's
I
the
don't like
point.
dumbing shit down for kids.
Yeah. The word is, though, this might be too much for kids and not entertaining because it's too sort of slow. And the word they kept using was, dense and involved. So I don't know. Yeah, kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. I'll probably watch it eventually. I'm not going to go run out and watch it over the weekend, though. But I think I took my niece and nephew to see the first one. We had fun. It was enjoyable. A good children's movie definitely should be enjoyable by adults as well. So, the question was, is this going to have a lot of agenda in it? And so
Also, if it's going to make money.
Yeah, I don't think that's I mean, just look at Moana 2. That was a horrible film and it still did really well. I think this is absolutely going to make money.
The first movie has enough of a reputation that it's gotta fill seats.
Yeah.
Also, it's holidays. It's the holidays, and people want to take their kids to some stupid movie. It's just like even when Mufasa came out, initially, like it was really slow, but the more the holiday went, there was more holiday. At the end, it made some money. Now, don't get me wrong, it didn't make the kind of money they expected, but it did gradually rebound a bit. And it's funny, even in my review at the time, I said, listen, this movie is terrible. It's not doing well now. But maybe over the holiday, just the brand name of The Lion King, parents are just going to want to be able to park their kids in front of a screen, and they'll be like, fine, I know what The Lion King is. There'll be some lions. The lions will be talking. My kid can watch this. And then what they don't realize is it's like the worst lessons you can teach kids. That's
Yeah,
how they
yeah,
hook the kids with the stupid agendas.
yeah, it definitely had legs, but at the same time, Sonic had come out and was really kicking its ass all the way up until the end. But I think this is the only game in town for kids this holiday, right?
Yeah, they
'Cause-
don't even have a Sonic. I honestly, Sonic was the better movie, and they made almost the same amount of money. I don't know. I mean, I personally think like wanted to see Sonic destroy it and not let it rebound. But yeah, at the end, it kind of rebounded.
yeah, I wanted that too. But you know what? Yeah, Sonic did make almost the same amount of money at a third of the budget. So
Right, that was it. That I think
victory.
that Sonic cost a lot less to make, but it was making more money, and really was the better movie. I saw both movie. Sonic was a fun family, entertainment movie, whereas that Lion King thing, I suffered greatly. I sat there, but I understood how this was going to play out because when I watched The Lion King, there were a bunch of adults that just brought their kids. Some of these kids were like walking around during the movie, meaning they're walking around like it's not even kids that are necessarily paying attention to what's on screen. It was like parents need a few hours to have their children look at something, and in their mind, it's called The Lion King. Their kids can look at that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's how
Well,
that one did well. But whatever, it is what it is. Zootopia, we'll have to see what happens for it to it.
yeah.
I think
Now I'm interested since we have conflicting reports on the.
what's the woke commentary. If anybody has the video,
Oh no,
No,
I've long since lost track of it. It felt like, I mean, it just off of 60 seconds, I'm not gonna sit here and say like I have a clue that the movie is or isn't. Just when I watched that 60 seconds, it felt like it was, well, you know what? Your word saying it was dense, it felt dense to me. I was like, whoa, this is dense. But it also felt like it was, I don't know, talking about modern social issues. And
yeah,
that's
but
not
that
necessarily gonna,
make it woke. Yeah, yeah. These are some of the people like associated with Film Threat and related channels. So I don't really think
I'll take that word. Yeah, I
Okay.
believe what they say. Relatively speaking, that's reputable. If they don't think it's woke, it's probably not.
But
But
honestly, my enthusiasm for any of these movies, it's just so yeah. After Badlands, I was just done. That's why I was excited to see a couple of comedies that look really like they could be good, like Fackham Hall. I can't wait for that one. The one you just showed with Glenn Powell, I think that looks like it could be pretty fun. I do like him. I loved him in Hitman. He played about 12 different characters and he nailed them all. He was really quite good in that. So um I would love to have, like a handful of comedies to go see next year or even a dozen. That would be fantastic.
a- as pessimistic as I am about a lot of things, I can be optimistic too. And I think the natural reaction to all the bullshit we've been through is that the younger generation is going to go hard on comedy. It's the pendulum effect, right? Like today's
Yeah.
kids are going to be like, nah, let's just go hard, you know.
Yeah,
And
we need that to
I think that'll
balance
come
out.
through.
There was this old lady, she was like 90 years old, and she's sitting at the opera, and this very well presented, middle-aged black woman sits down next to her, and the old lady starts just having conversation, being really nice. And she's like, "Is this your first time at the opera?" And she's like, why do you ask? And she's like, because this opera should be somebody's first or second. She was just being completely friendly, and people are like screaming, racist old white woman assumes black lady's never been to the opera. And I'm like, this is what we've come to. And it just makes me want to stay in and never go out the front door anymore.
Yeah.
I cannot see today's 5, 10, 12, 15-year-old, like the next generation. I cannot see them putting up with that crap.
That's good to hear.
Not really how kids operate. I could be wrong. It's just usually the pendulum shifts for a reason. So usually, I mean, I think as a parent, you would want your kids to exceed what you accomplished in your life, right? But
Yeah,
it's almost inevitable that our kids are gonna also want to do things differently.
Yeah,
Whether that's for better or worse, right?
I am so tired of the victim currency and grievance culture. I just can't wait for that to be pushed to the side. It's just I've got so much fatigue. It's eroding my will to live.
I have no faith in these future generations. I think that they're just too lame and they can't do anything good. Like, basically, it used to be, prior to this generation, it used to be that every generation is just a little more edgy than the previous one, pushing the envelope more, doing cool stuff. And you have like, each generation feels, oh man, I'm older now, but the kids are so cool until our generation. We're the ones where like the script was flipped that now, like, I don't look at like younger, these kind of Gen Z and think, oh, like they're so cool. They're cool and I'm not cool. No, like they're dumb and stupid and they're not cool at all. Like they have no character, they have no personality. They're like the very definition of conformists. They just sit around and watch shitty TikTok things and they have no thought of their own. It's just like, it's just some strange hive mind of these kind of like it's kind of like in the Body Snatchers. So that's what you have with these kids. There's nothing about them. The music they listen to is lame and stupid. There's no edge, there's no badass, nothing. There was never in the history of like humanity, even from when like how there used to be people like in caves, what is it, like Neanderthals or whatever, like people in caves with like hammers and stuff.
Yeah.
From that year,
Hammer
from
the
the
woman
guy
over
that
the head and get her
right,
pregnant.
from the day that like they invented the hammer in that cave until today, there has never been a more lame and stupid and boring generation than Gen Z. This is it. This is like the end of the road is that generation.
Well,
And it's sad. It's not and you're probably, oh, he's an old man saying whatever. No, it's not the old man saying. It's really true this time. They really are the lames, like they're lame losers that bring nothing to the table.
yeah, no, it's true. My dad could build a house. I can remodel a house. My sons can at least fix a table. The generation after them, they're like, what's a hammer? It's like with each subsequent generation, people are forgetting how to do stuff, man. It's very discouraging.
So as they
Elizabeth
say,
Quinn says,
find
sorry, I
somebody
know
who
in
can
real
build a
life,
tube.
two successful mid-20s kids. Listen, maybe there's anomalies here and there, but generally speaking, when I see like them, they seem dumb to me with no character or personality. Any interaction that I've had, usually whether it's personal or professional, whatever it is, people are just, you could tell that they've never lived in what I consider the real world. They people that their whole lives were already like connected to some tablet or some cell phone or sitting and like instead of talking to people, they keep DMing them. We at least lived in a time that wasn't a thing, so we're able to still talk. We still have characters or whatever it is. These new kids, all they know is that, and they're not better for it. They're not better for it at all.
Well, that's
You
Elizabeth
are
Quinn.
right.
So
One,
are these two kids in Korea or are they in the States? Just
In
curious.
Korea, maybe there's some people that are more normal. If they're in the States, I don't believe it. Yeah, most of the ones in the States seem lame and stupid to me.
Yeah, there's always going to be
once
outliers.
upon a time, we actually went outside and like we could go outside and play. And if you wanted to go visit your friend, like when growing up, if I wanted to go see my friend, I'd go knock on their front door.
We had it
All
all.
right,
Trust me, we had it all, and we didn't appreciate it. We
Eh.
lived in a time. At the end, I am also, I have to. I don't know if to say a victim of this technology, like or a slave to it, or whatever you want to call it. I use all the latest technology. I do all the phones and the DMs and the stupid shit. But between you and me, when I think of the time that none of that existed, even though I rely on all that stuff today, without it, everything was still better. We had it better than we do now with all of this stuff.
Like I said,
Oh,
I am optimistic, but I agree with you that I mean the actually requiring to leave your room and go out into the world to accomplish something. If you take away all of the technology and shit, you could read a book. You could be a book nerd. Maybe you sit in your room 100 years ago reading nothing but books all your life. But you still have to like actually leave your house to accomplish things.
I don't know
Whereas
how
yeah.
Sal
today
the
you could
hamster.
Well,
theoretically sit in your room and film TikTok videos and earn enough money to earn food, which you will order off of your cell phone delivered to your door.
yeah, well, they
Yeah.
just discovered that the Earth's pole is shifting about 10 times faster than previously thought. So it's quite possible there could be a Carrington event that'll take care of pretty much all the technology and force people to go back outside and learn how to do things.
Sal the
Probably not
hamster
the
says I've
preferred
been blown
way.
once, but I was in the army. I don't know what the context of that is, but I thought it was an interesting comment. But go on. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, what was that? Blown up?
Yeah, I didn't understand. It was a strange comment. Anyhow,
I
oh
took that
shoot, the
literally.
professor isn't here. Usually he tells me the people that were here. I'm gonna try to wing it myself. So on Rumble, we have Phantom Monk, Dude Bro Seth. I may have missed people, and I'm sorry. Elizabeth Quince, Phantom Monk. I said, CC are here with us. I think
Birdspiracy.
Sal the hamster. I don't know if there were more people in Rumble, and I can't find it now.
I just see there's a guy
Bro.
called Birdspiracy.
Oh, Beardspiracy. Yes, Birdspiracy. That's good to know. I'm sorry today, I wasn't very organized, so I apologize. There were people probably before, but I don't see them in the chat anymore. So that's my bad. I take full. Oh wait a second. Wait a second. You know what? Everything is going to be okay because I'm going to scroll here. Birdspiracy, marks for 7. I'm doing everything together. John 1Z1. Some people now on YouTube, you don't see their username, you see the other handle. Professor R2 is here. Elizabeth Quince, Dude Bro Seth 420. We had Phantom Monk, I said, CC Karaoke, Tomahawk 511. Then we had Caleb Levine. We had Jason Webster. The Dead Man, of course. Thank you for the super chats. Very, very generous. Jason Webster, you also gave a super chat. Thank you. Yidis, what's up? We had Isaac. Hey, Isaac, how's it going with the Nerd Wars raid? Thank you. Cheers to Nerd Wars as well. Let me see what else. Drew Gordon. B-Man Z, Irwin Raid. That's cool. Drew Gordon. Irwin Sentient Potato. Yeah.
That's a good name.
Drew Gordon, let's see. The Dead Man. Some of these are like Elizabeth Quince. I've said these a few times. President Trump, 47th MAGA warrior. Awesome 142. Let's see.
Jay Laughing Man says he's not here.
Tex Rogers. I'm doing the best I can here. Usually the professor is so good when it came up. Yeah, I don't know why the Kathleen Kennedy said Twin Towers on that movie. It's a very
Because it was
strange
close
thing
to
to
2000. It was close enough to 2001. She
Yeah,
was
but
probably.
that's exactly what you don't see there. You see the 2 towers, not the twin towers.
Well,
I mean,
I think it just shows she doesn't really know shit, like you said.
Right,
yeah,
she's dumb like we thought she was.
Yeah, she doesn't
Uh,
even watch the movies they make.
that's
FK
the ultimate normie thing to say.
Exactly. FKHC 2005. It's total normie thing. You could tell she doesn't know anything. She's not like I'm not impressed with her. Although I agree with you, Cece, for a 50-year-old woman or ever she was there, she did look pretty decent, for her age. Not my thing, not my scene, but she looked
No,
decent for her age. And she was also, doing the male gaze thing. She likes to combat the male gaze now, but at the time she was not combating it at all. She was welcoming the male gaze. Miss Sparkles. Hey, Miss Sparkles. Hey, everyone. This is so difficult. Now, Darren M. If I miss somebody, I'm sorry. New for no for some of these things also they changed. I can't see the name of the person. No for pass. Darren M. I think Lasher 5520. Tim Hayes. I think I said it. He's also been a member here for a long time. And Bert Spears. I see comments from him. I think that I went through most of the people. Wait, Jackie Caron something. I don't know. That was a weird one. I think it was spam. Well, I did the best I could. I'll try to do better next time. Under the circumstances, try to read as many people as I could. It's been a pleasure. If you guys, CC and Istophobos, there's anything you want to plug or talk about, you should totally do it.
Okay, I have I'm still working on my first video. I've got a little thing up. You can stop by my YouTube channel and see like a 20-second thing, but or come in Twitter and say hi. Nothing really big. It's easy.
I make karaoke videos.
Ecto
Obviously,
Mason. Oh, E. Clay Thomason. It's really hard with what YouTube has done. E. Clay Thomason, how's it going? You forgot J.J. Abrams. Yeah, thank you to J.J. Abrams. J. Laughing Man, do better. Sorry, go on, Cece.
I'll say I make karaoke videos. So if you like singing karaoke, you can find me on YouTube. And all the stuff that's not safe for YouTube is currently stored here on Rumble. It's the secret channel.
Sounds like a plan to me. You should check out what CC does. For those of you who don't know, CC has one of the most popular karaoke channels in the world. I know that sounds very bombastic, and he didn't put it that way, but it is absolutely true. CC Karaoke has one of the most well-known karaoke channels in the world, and if you're not familiar with his channel with CC Karaoke, you should. How many subscribers do you have? Like 300 and something thousand now, right?
I'm a few away from 363,000.
363,000 subscribers. Considered a top karaoke channel for real.
Yeah, dang.
I'm not just saying that to be nice to CC. CC really has been working on this for years. It's like his life's work that he put into this thing, and it's really nice to see that somebody puts that kind of work and it actually succeeds. You wouldn't know it because he doesn't say a lot about it, but CC really is the real deal when it comes to that stuff. So thank you for being here tonight. It's always great to have you here as a guest. Istophobos, if you want to refer people to your site, you could do that.
Okay, let me try to
whatever it is that you want to refer, you can refer them.
Yeah, it's I didn't have it ready to go. How do you guys deal with the latency issue when you're doing karaoke? That sounds like fun, but it would be tough.
I don't know. It works.
Duets. I mean, you would need some kind of special program for that. Actually, Jam Kazam has a thing for that that's been around for a while. But like if you're talking about like streaming, you just got to sing on your own, and OBS is pretty popular software.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's not multiple. It's not. You're not singing with other people like we're talking now, sort of thing.
No, duets would be tough, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But if you're just singing your own song, you got OBS, you're fine. You got the music playing behind you, you know?
Yeah, when I'm at a meeting over Zoom, man, we can't even like we can't even say the Serenity prayer in unison. It's ridiculous. Like,
No, yeah, that'll that never goes well. That's just noise that drives people away.
yeah, absolutely. Well, chat, thank you as usual. You guys have been absolutely awesome. Although I feel weird saying that because I'm usually in chat too. So I'm not calling myself awesome. I'm calling all everybody else.
No, you're awesome too, man. Everything is great. Thank you for you people for hanging out with us. And I guess we're just gonna be on our way now. So y'all have a great night. Bye.
Bye. Timing.